Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this one we are going to be reviewing a game between University of Texas Dallas and Waldorf? Yeah, Waldorf University. For those that aren't aware, these are schools that last year finished out. Here, let's pull up last year's finishes. Last year we can see Waldorf finished out in the round of 16, Dallas finished out in the round of 8. So that should give you some idea of their respective strengths there. We certainly want to see how they look this year. And what we're also going to see as soon as we load in here is that UTD has a pretty serious roster this time. I would say I don't remember exactly what their roster was last year, but I do know of at least a couple players that they added, and they're really making moves. So if we jump into the match, okay, if we jump into the match, Waldorf went ahead. This is Waldorf over here. They climbed their way back up through the bracket, and we can pull up a representation for that. Whereas I'm not going to actually pull up the bracket because it would spoil final results. Whereas these guys got knocked down from the upper bracket later. So these guys just dropped from the upper bracket. These guys fought their way through the lower bracket, and now they are matching up here. Okay, so we see this. This is going to be Night Market. And what we're going to see is that Dallas is trying something a little bit interesting. Speaking of roster upgrades, I believe Artsy Fartsy is new to this team. I believe he's an incoming freshman for them. I've coached him before. Obviously, they've got Pedal there. That's a pretty big deal. Certainly, no names. Like this is a pretty solid group that they have over here in terms of recognizable names. They're not like all ex-contenders players or anything, but this is pretty serious. I look at this roster and go, hey, this isn't the level of the big four in collegiate Overwatch, but this might be at the level that sort of nibbles on the heels of the big four, which in the past has been like the Irvines and the Utahs of the world. Looking over here, no names in terms of people who people would know from ladder if they play GM, they play top 500. Papa Joe, Blob, those are going to be known players, put in some time. I've done some work with Tone, but Tone's not really at the level of some of these names, etc. in here. So we're going to see how this goes. The first interesting thing that we do see is that it looks like for Night Market that Waldorf is going to take the standard rollout here of Brawl. They're going with the McCree, which is a little old school here. It's not rare at this point to see the Doomfist instead of the McCree. That's sort of an evolution that has happened to Brawl, especially on this point. But Dallas is making the much weirder move. They are choosing to roll out with sort of a standard standard poke dive composition here, a ball zen comp. They've got the Pedal. I suspect Pedal's going to swap, and this is just a TP to get their Brig and Zen further ahead, and then Pedal will probably go Tracer. But if we look at this, this is surrendering the point immediately to surround the point and chip it down. The problem is surrounding this point isn't amazing. It's really not amazing because if you're outside, there's really not much space. There's the risk of getting chased down if you're outside and having nowhere to go by a Brawl team is pretty high. Now, the threat is that if they try to chase you down, and, I'm drawing the point here, if they try to, maybe let me do it like this. If this is the point, here's sort of the places outside the point where you could position people, and there's a door here, a door here, and a door here. And sorry, guys, I'd steer on the map, but they're not going to let me. The problem is if you put like a Tracer out here, an Echo out here, something like this, it's not that hard for the Brawl comp to go, yep, we've got our stack of people, and we're going to go try to chase down the Tracer. And you're not going to catch the Tracer ever, but they can't really meaningfully chip you down if you can just constantly drive them away like that. And meanwhile, you just keep building objective pressure. So like getting map control around this point isn't amazing. Now, the problem with chasing down this Tracer is, hey, the ball can come through and potentially knock you off the map and get out themselves, and then, whoa, everything's on its head, etc. That said, I don't love this. This is usually something that you see happen, like as both teams rolled on Brawl, the team that loses maybe swaps into this, or into something even heavier poke and plays an even heavier poke to try to soften them up to flip, and they really only get to play for one chance to do this. Otherwise, both teams play Brawl, and they go fishing, either with sim TPs, flanks, etc., or with a Doomfist in this slot who sort of goes, hey, Doomfist ability fishing. So this is not like unheard of to see this matchup, but a little bit unusual in this day and age. This would have been more common, I don't know, 8 months ago. So we see this. So sure enough, we saw the tracer swap. We do see Echo's working her way out over here. That's not too wild. I'm a little surprised to see Ball along the edge there because I kind of want Ball able to, from this direction, knock people off if they try to go chase down an Echo, a Tracer, something that's taking an angle there. And then, yes, we would expect that our Zen Brig are going to be back here. Diva could go up and take an angle as well. Similar thing, though. I'm not sure I agree that this is an extremely normal comp to start for Night Market anymore. Okay, so it looks like Waldorf tried to go catch the Briggs End backline. They do have the speed, so they're pretty fast at doing that. That's certainly a thing that they can do. On the other hand, that's the farthest chase of any of the other directions. The other directions are right off a cliff there, so there's not much room for them to run. The Brig and the Zen have a little more room to run. Obviously, Dallas is going to collapse in the back, try to get work done. They did get Dallas's backline there. That's generally how I'd expect that to work. That said, you can't trade evenly if you are Waldorf. If you're the Brawl comp, you sort of rely on having your individual pieces synergize together well, stacking well, whereas Dallas is happier on this comp. If this breaks into smaller skirmishes, 1v1s, they're pretty happy on their heroes. That works for heroes like Ball, Tracer, Echo. Those are pretty good duelists. We're more like our BAP, our McCree, our Reinhardt. We're looking for the synergy there. So if this breaks down evenly, that's ultimately going to favor Dallas. Dallas did get the flip, it looks like, or the cap while Waldorf pushed out. That's kind of nothing. Yeah. Like, that slam was just into nothing. Like, that's gone. Are you trying to reset? What are you doing, man? Like, you got nothing. This just feels like you're stalling while they have control. They don't have control yet, but now your ball's going in while they have control. I guess you had control. Okay. +1 like. I need to back to comp to insult my TPS teammates. Okay, Val. Have fun with that. Love that volume of caster. I don't want to mute the caster though, because then I get no sound effects. The Transcendence is undoubtedly the best ultimate across all 6 of these players for getting some momentum. What? No. I'll take Rally. I'll take Rally over Transcendence, but whatever. Maybe he means the best ult on the board. Okay, so we are pushing up here. We've got Blob playing far out on the off angle there. That is going to work well as long as he doesn't get isolated, jumpable, etc., which would be the concern. We see Dallas going for a very similar setup. They're choosing to put Tracer on the outside. Do they have anyone on the opposite outside? Do we have a ball across from us? Do we have anything? We don't. So this is really a two-directional attack. We have our Tracer pushing in, threatening from here, while Core might be threatening down both lanes that way, but it's really only one direction overall. It's not a third direction over here or a third direction over here, like with the Echo outside or anything that's going on, which makes sense. You can't really put an Echo out here against a team that is running their Kree and their BAP. It's just too much ability to shoot down an Echo that's especially not going to have support. This Echo doesn't have a Mercy. They won't even get the Harmony Orb across the point like that. So maybe an Echo over here, that would be normal. Looks like maybe they're playing up here, but that's pretty minimal in terms of angle variance that the Dallas are going for here. That's a wall. You definitely just stuck a wall there, Petal. Are you sure you're the best player in the lobby? No, that's not fair. That's not fair. I'm sure he'll do better. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to threaten this. He's trying to solve this. He's recognized that this is the angle that Petal is going to repeatedly be bugging them from. And while he doesn't really get to answer the Echo if he's over here answering Petal, Echo's on a sort of minimal different angle from the rest of her team. We can see Echo might be threatening Windows while Team is threatening Core, but really it's like this, And this, well, this is the much bigger angle. So if we go, we're going to answer this angle, and we're going to answer this angle in a way where we can get support, it's much easier for Tone to pivot and give Blob support than it is for, say, Artsy to keep Harmony Orb on Petal, who's constantly going to be having to break line of sight and make the Harmony Orb fall off. So this is a good answer that they've got here. That said, Papa Joe's not allowed to go down like this. I'm not quite sure what's going on. I'm not sure if we're pushing aggression as Waldorf while our McCree's busy holding this off, which would be a bit of a mistake. We're happy to take point pressure to just sort of be like, okay, if you guys make a mistake, we'll amp speed and run on you, but there actually has to be a mistake to go punish. Otherwise, we'll sort of save our resources as best we can, go push you guys off when there's openings, but that shouldn't be while we have our Kree over here dealing with Tracer. Like, Kree would like to come with us for that, or at least be relevant to the fight for that. Yeah, that I don't quite know what happened to him. Did we have a big ult that happened? No, not really. Maybe trans. Waldorf trying to hold in it with their self-destruct and sim wall. Oh, that traded back better than it probably should have, given that they were down their Rhine. They did use some big deal ults, though. Yeah, no kill feed is a little confusing, I'm not going to lie. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now we see this. You've got some rally still left. Nothing too wild. This is a little harder. For Dallas has control now, and they have to figure out how to keep control. Like, they can't really anchor on the point the same way that Waldorf was used to, or was able to. So they have to make sure that they get appropriate chip damage on Waldorf. They almost have to like surrender the point to them, but chip them hard on the way, and then wipe them on the point when they've chipped them hard enough. Which makes positioning for your Zen, for example, Artsy here, a little bit challenging because you can't really keep Artsy on the point because the opponents are already going to want to go to the point. So this is, kind of a fundamental support thing. If you expect that your opponents are either going to go this way to get to point or the other way to go to point, Artsy should probably already be out here, and based on scouting calls, should either be adjusting back in case they're going this way and then coming in once they've actually started committed to this, or we should be back here to start when they're going this way. But we'll see. And we do obviously need to make sure that, well, okay, we'll just continue from here. Okay, they're adjusting. Good. That's the adjustments I wanted. I don't necessarily like having this so stacked, though. Like, this is a really big clump. A really big clump if you include the Zen and the Brig back here of players. We should have something over here. That could be our Tracer. That could be our Tracer plus our Echo up here. That could be our Hammond, potentially trailing a little more over here, ready to knock them off if they try to go across this way. Like, this is a little weird that we're kind of one-dimensional like this. We don't need max one-directional spam. We want our angled spam. We want it to be annoying to rotate this way. And again, if you have someone over here, I know I'm drawing, there's a wall here, that's roughly where the mega is. If you have someone over here and they go this way, this person then comes and gets to shoot them in the back as they're going in here, so that's still fine. Or this person goes, okay, fine, I'll shoot you, I'll go back over here and I'll shoot you in this direction as you're going in, while my team peels in from the back and shoots you in the back. Mm-hmm. So I don't like the direction that we had to open for Dallas there, but Waldorf did do about what we expected in terms of how they went to point. Tone goes down. Power Drive keeps us on the map. I guess that pulse bomb hit? Tone, yes. That's a better way to pronounce it. Okay. So that works out for them. They did properly understand that they need to spam it, and it looks like now maybe their Tracer's set up better. Yes, so now they've got a much better setup. This is what we were hoping for, where their Echo is playing more at an angular up there, She could play at the further forward window. Oh no, she is at the further forward window. Tracer set up over there, Petal, and then we've set Louis up over here. This is more what we were expecting the whole time. Artsy, I'd like to pull back a little bit and be more at this corner as opposed to using the doorway. Right now the doorway is sort of his cover. I see very little need for that. I think if you see that the team is going here, you can adjust. If you see the team is going this way, you have all the time in the world to get from here to here, which is where you'd want to be so that you can spam across like that, etc. But this is better than the last setup for them. There's the TP. That's obviously something you're aware of. Their sim going to the window is a pretty standard play. Instead, they did it like that. They just went to skip the box. Okay. That lamp. What caused that lamp? Double rewind. That's going to be longer than we want.
One of the main differences between these two compositions. UT Dallas, their healing is spread out between their two dealers, but Tone is really doing a lot of the heavy lifting right now for Waldorf.
Sure. So we had some knockoff plays. Now we've got the duplicate coming out. We'll have... Oh, we would have had the minefield right behind it, but no. Self-destruct got him. And then duplicate off the map. Okay, we'll take that trade. Yeah, those are some good trades. It was nice knowing you, Artsy.
Either way, it's Waldorf coming away with the win. Great engagement. Well, don't worry, Dor. We don't have kill feed, but in the chaos, I can see the little X's on the top.
There we go. And we can see that Dallas engaged pretty hard there, trying to get boops, trying to get knockoffs. Didn't quite happen, and then they didn't really... Well, we'll leave it there. They didn't really appropriately restabilize for another round to go in there. They instead put some ults in, but, you know, when your ults get pinned off the map, bad things happen. I don't really want to go in, but they're forced to go in just based on the 99 here. He's going to go back in afterwards, and the second time he's in, he'll probably mine. That first time it was early overtime, so the overtime is going to tick down slowly. Overtime will start to tick down faster in the future here. It's the minefield. Okay. What is our caster freaking out about? So we're doing this. That's the minefield we expected. You're effectively just buying time. This isn't like quite garbage time, but it's pretty darn close to garbage time. You have to stall the point. How did we get over there? I would like to know how... So that gets destroyed. Our BAP should be with core. That makes sense. Oh, did our window go there for a Reinhardt Fire Strike? Is that what it was? I'm not a huge fan of those, to be perfectly honest. They're not terrible. But, like, the window Fire Strike thing tends to get overvalued. No. Is that what caused our window to be over there? We don't have a good view.
Looking like the same story all over again for Waldorf. The layer support ultimates bite him in the butt.
I don't think so.
But he caught the top frame of the teleport.
No, he's fine.
In order to get himself out, that might have actually saved him. He gets to use an amplification matrix from the off angle. Roses throws another sound barrier on top. Gotta stop layering these support.
And you can't get out because you just failed to actually jump over. You literally just needed to jump behind you a little more to go over. I know it's hard because you had to charge a tiny bit more than the minimum jump to get over there, but you just had to do that if you were going to do the jumping thing. Otherwise, the jumping makes the movement too predictable. So charge just a tiny bit more, then you can jump back over. There's a mega there. Maybe you grab it, maybe you don't, but then you get to jump back over again and be back doing damage, healing your team, etc. That's better than straight taking the damage fight there. You want to be the one who controls whether the angle opens or not, and this time you do that with your jump ability. I'm not sure it makes a difference, though. Yo, I'm in this game. Hey, Mr. T. Who are you in this game? We go for a pin. What? The team that hits 100 is red. The team that hits 100 is red, Waldorf. 1, 2, 3. That's 3 blue. Did those blue all get there in the last instant after it was over? I have to see that again. Artsy is very much on point. Artsy steps off of point. Oh, it's right there. Yeah, no one's on point. Wow. Yikes. So they did actually all get off point there. That's brutal. That is brutal. We can see that Artsy and Jukebox are off point here, and we don't see anyone else on point. It looks like someone in the back left is about to step on there. None type. Oh, it is you. It is you, Tony. Nice, nice. I hard through this map, bro. That's all on me. Well, I mean, you couldn't touch the point here. You should have. I mean, you didn't have to touch the point here. This map, okay, not this point. If you mean this point, I mean, you had a little bit more ability to definitely, while fighting this Zen, go over this, get the health back, and then come back, or even go over this, and then he doesn't know when you're going to come back, and then try to take out Artsy, like, with actual you controlling the cover angle. You definitely had more ability there. But I haven't been able to see everything you've done, because obviously I don't have a real spectator cam. I'm limited to what the feed shows us. Oh, let's rewind a little more here. Okay, so we saw that. We see that's a little bit of a heartbreaker for Dallas, and that they looked like they had won that fight. Maybe that should have gone the other way. The fight was at least in question. It shouldn't have been over at that point. Shouldn't have been over against them at that point. We did see that they were doing a better job later on in the match in terms of, hey, we're going to use these angles to contest the re-entry. We saw that was a little weak the first time that they tried to contest Waldorf's re-entry there, where they really were kind of unidirectional, which isn't what we expect to see. We could have adjusted Artsy's positioning slightly, not a big deal. Waldorf seems to have had some, we couldn't exactly see it, but it looked like there was a little bit of a pressure mistiming, where they were pushing while they had their McCree, for example, trying to keep the tracer honest, etc. That's really a mistiming in terms of pressure that perhaps punished them a bit. But let's see how this goes. That's not right. Okay. I missed my 5-second rewind because that's a big rewind that we just did here. But what we're looking at is we have this. I do not want all 3 of my turrets that high like that. I do, in fact, want one turret over here, potentially, to go, hey, if they're going to take any degree of off angle, because they should, I would like that to be annoyed a little bit. That helps. Or I want a little bit more spread on these turrets, not just like this. Like I maybe want something over here, maybe something over here that's harder to deal with. This, I'm going to put all 3 on the roof, just sort of in a line back like that. Isn't really optimized. That is a far left throw. That was way too far left. Some slice on that one. I can do this with my Junkrat, but I'm not really going to. Like, my Junkrat doesn't want to throw in here in this open space like this. My Junkrat wanted to go more here and funnel the nades down here, while my Sim was perfectly happy to send her orbs down here. Like, if the opposing team rotates, if Dallas rotates, goes, no, we don't want this push, it's too spammy, we're going to go here, our Junkrat deepens his angle. He takes that. He doesn't put himself in danger, but he deepens his angle to here, while our Sim is the one who spams the orbs here, while Orion potentially pushes, thinks about, do I want to push up and take this angle? It's very similar to if you had control, because you effectively do. You got the greater map control than them. And by you, I mean Waldorf University here. So that's not the greatest micro distribution of our players. Like, this really would have been Sim plus Sigma are spamming this way. Junkrat is over past where Reinhardt is. We don't care. Why? Why are they allowed to do this? Like, there was no threat of getting of a Maywall mattering if your Junkrat is right here. He's not going to get walled inside and stuck. Oh, I don't like this. This shouldn't happen. And then, why are your Sim and Junkrat stacked? You should already be taking angles. You're a brawl comp, but it's ultimately still going to come down to spam strength. Our Sim can already be working her way left. Sigma's right. I don't see Junkrat anymore, but that could just be graphics quality. Might be standing right where Lucio is, in which case I'm sad. Sim needs to continue to work her way over here. Reinhardt wanted to work his way up here. If he can't do that, he's at least going to work his way to pillar. And Lucio is, again, thinking about, do I help move these people into position so that we have the greater concave? Like, that's what we want to do. A wall is not going to matter if you've set your concave up properly. Uh-huh. Junkrat should be slamming the side of this team right now. Instead, Junkrat is eliminated. He was in the wrong spot. Mm-hmm. This was nice. This was nice. So that means this was an investment from the beginning. So we didn't see it, but Dallas, it looks like from the beginning, when we're going to pretend to take this matchup the standard normal way, we're going to accept that we're going to lose it. But before we lose it, we're going to back out. And why we're doing this is because they're going to commit 6 to this matchup. We're actually only committing 5 to this matchup. And what we're doing is we're sending our McCree up along the high ground outside the whole time. So when this splits in the way that it should, in terms of, oh, they're going to get their Junkrat and their Sigma up here, the Reinhardt's going to go here, the Sims is going to work her way over here, etc. When that happens, we're going to have the even bigger concave with our McCree over here that is just going to be like, nope, I'm going to get picks on you guys from the side. Now, can it be answered by the BAP? Can it be checked, especially if this team had a Diva rather than a Sigma? It absolutely can. But if they read the Sigma, predicted the Sigma, and they went, hey, we think our guy's going to, even if he gets punished, get a pick or two off first, absolutely makes sense. So I like this play. This is a good bait play from Dallas here in terms of the 5 rather than the 6. This is definitely something to watch out for. The punish to this, by the way, would be to surrender the standard concave play and instead go, nope, we are just going to run you over. Like, you guys are trying to back out, and we are just going to go 6 people forward or even 4 people forward, 2 people out, and we are just going to hard push this fight right now. We're going to brawl it. We're going to rush it. We're not going to establish our standard. We'll take the slow, win it methodically with our greater angle pressure. Instead, we're just going to run you over from multiple directions here before the McCree setup. Mm-hmm. Okay. We're going to stay on the Sigma. We have the more standard composition here from Waldorf in terms of for this map. I suppose, generally speaking, Dallas is on the more standard brawl composition. But for this map, you'd see this. Dallas are not going to hold close because they'd be worried about getting TP'd past. I don't know that I want to commit my TP here. I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know about that one. I kind of want my TP available now to threaten, so that my Sim can flank and then unflank, or so that they can be worried that we're going to flank with more than our Sim. I really would prefer that now to, oh, we went up here. They were going to let you get to about where you are now, basically for free, because they respect your ability to Sim TP past them and destroy their concave if they try to hold any closer, if they try to spam you out in that choke there. Or they should. And if they don't respect it, well, then you sim TP past them in the hallway and use that. And I'm not saying you actually have to do it, but yeah, you actually sim TP past them, and then you're behind them, and then you have flipped the map on them, and they have to push into if your Waldorf's much greater concave control that you're able to set up with your Junkrat over here, threatening down here, your sim threatening back like that, your Reinhardt here, your Lucio up here, your BAP back here, etc. No, the metrics is fine. Like, yeah, we can make it bill meters better, don't get me wrong, but, like, you don't want to slow it down to do that. It did everything it needed to. Okay. Tone. One of our own here, going for this over here. Did we rotate you outside, or did you hop up? I want to know how you got there. Okay, so you just hopped up there. Okay, sure. That works. We're taking control on left side. It's a little uncomfortable, but that should work and flip it. Yep. Wall answers the high noon. And that should put that away. You guys are losing Papa Joe a little more than I'd like. Obviously, that's a thing that can happen. You can spend his health wisely and still win. But... Okay. And now, does Waldorf understand it can hold close? Does Waldorf understand that because UT Dallas is not running a sim, they can hold close? No. Okay. So this is important. You lost your Lucio. I'm still not sure I care. You can choke this team out even down your Lucio. It's not as good without the speed, don't get me wrong, but you can afford to go, hey, we're going to be here, we're going to spam this out, and we're going to retreat into our concave when they start to push, because yes, this team has Lucio, but this team doesn't have the ability to teleport past. Dallas, because they've elected to keep Petal on the McCree, where they think he'll make a bigger difference than the Sim, that gave them the opening Gambit play, where they sort of did the fake match. They can't TP past, which means the reason that this map is mostly evolved to the point hold is the threat of, if you're at this choke, TPing past, and then, oh shoot, now the attacking team is defending, and the defending team has to attack into it, and it really sucks because it goes, and it gets much thinner like this. And same thing as we get closer to the point. There's definitely some room here. Like, it would have been much better if Roses hadn't been lost for the close hold. But even so, I'm not convinced that I wanted to, because, like, this funnel that they're effectively having to push through into the much bigger point here. And if they rotate another way, there's plenty of time to adjust. Now, you couldn't have held right at the door, again, because Roses got eliminated late. But there was the ability to hold sort of at the beginning of the, we'll try it. If I'm on someone as they walk by it, I can share it. This. I mean, we could have effectively held at this, spammed a bit, and still backed out and spammed them and poked them the whole way. And no, they were not going to out-rotate us as long as we were careful. And by us here, I mean Waldorf. Okay. There's the wall. Flux, that should be big, except Blizzard is also coming out. Space Ghost is going to properly threaten the flank. Okay. Why can they pay this much attention to you? Your team got pushed back too hard. So, Papa Joe just used the Shatter. The wall's up. Threatening this angle should be right, except we're on a hard retreat because of the Blizzard. But a hard retreat from the Blizzard with this wall now gone, like, there should be enough forward pressure that this should not be answered as well as it is. Reinhardt's frozen. Yeah, I can't see quite enough, but it looks like we've effectively got this angle as Waldorf, but it looks like we're losing this mid angle and we're losing this angle over here, or in this case, this angle over here. So that's not really going to work. Really, there needs to be more threat. Like, I'm annoyed that this. I'm not annoyed. I mean, I don't really care here, but like my answer here would be, there's not enough spam. I don't know quite what Blob's up to right now. I don't know quite what Valid is up to right now. I don't quite know what Tone is up to in terms of, there should be a more threat going down this direction in terms of ranged damage threat that is, yes, I see the Rhine shield is cracking. Yes, I see ultimately that it looks like Louis did go down here, but I still expect a little more pressure even through this Blizzard here. I wish I could see a little bit more of what was going on. That trap is too deep. Yeah. Now Petal's going to use the angle that he won. Blob is a bit lost. I'm not even convinced we needed that bait. You're saving Jukebox. No, you're not saving Jukebox. But now you have no tank presence, so that's why you're choosing to do it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Counter sound barrier. Reinhardt's back. That should turn it. As long as we guys understand where to go. Why did you go down during your self-destruct? Did you force that? No, you were trying to remake maybe? Okay. So if we look at this, Dallas still have the better map control. Dallas still have the window going. I don't love that we've set up Artsy over there. Artsy, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's not your spot, Artsy. Interesting. Yeah, we would much prefer our split being Artsy is back here, threatening window from here, and Petal is up here, threatening high noon from over here, if we're going to use both of these like this. Just because Artsy can't heal his Reinhardt if his Reinhardt gets pushed back at all from up over here, so that's not really our favorite. Mm-hmm. So, did we establish control of coast side? This is happening. Double poke ult. We're trying to play around this. Do we have anything controlling left side of us? Do we have anything, if we're Waldorf, controlling left side beyond this? Like, obviously, yes, we're worried about this. Yes, we're worried about the high noon. But do we have anything? Sim's trying. But no, ultimately mid. There's a lane over here. I promise there's a lane over here. Okay, I'm back. Okay, welcome back. And then Petal takes this lane. Yeah. And this was ultimately the one he earned from the Junkrat. Okay.
And Waldorf has control of the objective again. It's kind of the same thing we saw on Night Market.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like it's going to be quite a bit quicker for UT Dallas. They are going to be able to retake control, but it cost them.
Sure.
Every single ultimate they had available is gone now. Waldorf did invest quite a few of their.
We're once again going to see that Dallas recognizes even with people live, they can't close hold, not against a sim comp on this map. Now, if we look at this, we do have wall, and that's really it. That said, Karish Khan is over here on Doomfist now, so that's an adjustment. No more sim, we're on the Doomfist. That's going to make their fight more explosive. That's going to make them willing to go faster. That's a reasonable change into this, especially because this doesn't run a McCree, this doesn't run a May. It does run a Junkrat, which can be a little annoying to Doomfist, but like both of these characters want a little bit of ramp up time to get their work done, and Doomfist can go much faster than their ramp. He also wants a little bit of ramp up time to get his work done. So we're, as Dallas, trying to go, no, we want to take these fast. Okay. And by fast, I mean, I sort of mean fast, but I sort of just mean short sightlines. Explosively. Okay. And they might have gone to the Doomfist specifically because they knew they had no ults. They knew they were playing into a pretty big deal ult, or they didn't know what ults they were playing into. Sim is a pretty big deal ult, and they had no ult. So if they were going to win this fight, they needed something pick-off-y. Maybe a Tracer to pick someone off, a Widow, a Doomfist, a Roadhog, something like that. And this is one way to get that. No dice. Simwall beats no ults pretty handily. Doomfist did not get a pick off to start things, so yeah. Why do you even care to retouch this, Louis? This is over. You're over 85%. Like, you're just feeding ult charge. Yuck. They were not going to get a retouch. Like, if you lose this fight here, if you lose this fight to them, and then you win the next fight, Waldorf is not going to have a chance to touch again. Why are you feeding them an extra 500 ult charge? You walked back onto the point. Whatever. Whatever.
Yeah, and the silver line.
Okay. This is not your best hero blob. Maybe it is, but like this is not my favorite turret. I can live with this turret. I can live with this turret. I'd really prefer this turret either be more over here or be tighter over here, but whatever. I'll deal. I'll deal.
They didn't have any ults, so they couldn't
Are you guys missing Lucio?
use any ults to
No, you're all here.
hold on to
Go
the
spam.
fight,
Go
right?
spam.
So they're
Go
coming up
spam.
with a lot of
Go
them.
spam. There's no reason that you can't. Like the Maywall isn't that scary. The Maywall isn't that scary. You can burst right through it. You are your own brawl team. You have your own ability to hop over it and lamp. Like it's not that big a deal. Go get your spam. You guys have earned a close hold against this team. We still haven't figured out comps or hero pools. That makes sense. You also haven't figured out that the reason that you hold here on this map is because you're worried about the other team simming past you and having control of point, which gives them a much better funnel, much better concave against you. They don't have that. Hurts. It hurts. Okay. I did notice it was a little surprising, though. I think Space Ghost was playing your Tracer earlier, but he's also playing your Junkrat. That's not unheard of, but it was a little weird. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I consider the Riptire that much more dangerous than, say, the Phlox. So how did this engage look? Sure. Okay. Petals here. Stunned out does get some work done, but stunned out. I mean, that was a little hopeful, Papa Joe. Obviously, the Fire Strike is fine with the Sim Shield there. It does. It does feel weird, no kill feed. Oh. Why are you gone? Okay. Reasonable. Sort of let yourself get pushed away here. I would like to know what actually hit you, because that wasn't all Lucio damage. Oh, got it. That would do it. I don't know, I'm just bronze. Okay, well. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Yeah, this should have been over. But the freeze. Yeah, why has this not been cleaned up yet? So here we are. We've got Waldorf with a reasonable concave. No crazy good ults. Sim's not here yet. Lucio's being annoying. Oh, because of target prioritization. There's a Moira on the field, and we're just going to ignore it. We're just going to continue to ignore it. Are we going to continue to ignore the Moira? The ball's going to go on the Moira now. Yeah, I mean, that was a lot of we're going to try to burn your Reinhardt while your Moira's still alive, which, like, you don't really have the damage to do unless your DPS are there. Like, yeah, you can bust tanks with the comp that you guys are on, but not in this phase. Not when it's your tanks and supports versus their tanks and support. Okay, unfortunate. Mm-hmm. No, that should be it. Of course, it should have already gone over the other way. Okay. Oh, are they resetting to try and get the feedback? I think feed. Oh, they disabled feed at the lobby level, not at the spectator level, so no one had feed. Okay, yikes. Back from insulting my DPS players, which team are we meant to be cheering on? I don't know that I have a favorite in this match personally, Val. We've coached Tone here. We've done that on this channel. I've also worked with Artsy Fartsy in the past, and these are both, I think, like I said at the beginning, UT Dallas was a top 8 school last year for Overwatch, and Waldorf was a top 16. I don't know that we have like we're definitely rooting for one team or the other. I just thought this would be an interesting match to review. It's, kind of the first collegiate tournament that had some reasonably good schools in it. It had, I'd say, well, I won't go more than that, but yeah. We're a brand new team. Are you? Are you completely new? Because I assumed based on what I saw here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is this not you guys? Oh no, that was University of Washington. My bad. My bad. Oh, you're a brand new team. Okay, my bad. That was UW. Worst versus WU. You guys are both just purple W's as your logos. Which makes it even more exciting. Okay, so let's go back here. 2-week-old. Nice, nice. I think most schools have been going, well, I know we've been going for about 2 weeks ourselves over at Northeastern. I know a couple schools have been practicing as schools for a bit longer than that this season, but you guys are totally new, whereas others just had roster changes, graduating people, etc. Okay, so we are looking at this, and we are looking at 6-man or talent dive comps coming out of both teams here. Nothing too wild, both electing for the Tracer Sombra. No matter how hard I insult my DPS teammates, they refuse to play better. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That is not how you finish this. So if you're here, this is okay. This is good. Space Ghost has the outside angle here. Sure, we can come in to deal with the diva, no problem. But now that it's left, we're not going to spearhead push this in. We're down to pushing from one angle. Like, we already effectively, as Waldorf here, Louis went off the edge, great. Diva's hacked fine, but we're not going to push this way as Tracer. We're going to go back left, and even at mid-range, we're going to threaten from this direction, while our team threatens from this direction. We are not going to just use resources, blinks, whatever, going in this way, trying to get staggers. Like, this is not a team that we're, like, trying to get staggers against. They still have 5 people left. We consolidate our win. We take our angles. We don't go, let me just feed in. If we do want to go in hard to get them, we still go over here, and then we double blink in and try to get it and recall back type thing. Like, this should not be one directional push to try to clean this up. We're not ahead by enough to do a one directional push to just chase them down with all our efforts. Go right. No one's controlling right. So we still don't have a feed, even after all that? Yikes. Okay. Sure, Space Ghost, how did you get here? Okay, you did exactly what you were supposed to. And this should be favoring Waldorf again. No, going to be pushed back slightly. Okay. Did Petal just outmuscle things? Let's take a look. Sure. Instant bubble without it really being real. Mm-hmm. Blob gets forced out. Thumbers are a decent early target to focus in this mirror, specifically because when they out, they sometimes pretty far out, like you did there. And that weakens the incoming damage significantly. Yeah, okay. You didn't have to recall yet.
Curious positioning from Space Ghost, just poking away at the tanks, but not really finding any squishies.
You just didn't step on it. Okay.
Petal, who's on the other side, completely harassing these 200 HP heroes. And I like the adjustment from Petal in that team fight, right? Tried to go for the 1v1 in that first fight against Space Ghost, couldn't quite get the hang of it, and had to get out of the fight earlier than he wanted. So this time around, he was just straight into
Just a quick stagger.
the tanks. I'll get a backline opening once the tanks have to leave to go get healing or if they die, right?
Okay, are we going to control something besides this? Like, don't get me wrong. Normally, this comp is like a 6-man. You know, sometimes it's called 6-man, where like it's a 6-man dive in one direction. That becomes a little less true when you're both playing it at each other. Like, you do start to fall a little bit more back into standard dive habits in terms of spreading out, taking your angles. If you were playing this against if you were playing this comp against a more standard dive comp, or you're playing this comp against a poke comp, absolutely, you'd sort of do the 6-man dive. Right now, I'm pretty happy to play my standard Overwatch and get angle control, because they have the same weaknesses on both sides where they can't heal people that are off angled, etc. It's the EMP answered with double support ults. Why? Okay, so we're going to get a beat and a coalescence, so that's something that they're going to have to clean up. Counter EMP, that's just too much shenanigans going on, but Artsy managed to hold on to his coalescence through the EMP. Well, not through the EMP, he used it after the EMP. Gets him back into the fight, but it is still dead even. Petal versus Space Ghost in the anime battle. Who's coming out on top? I need an answer, and for right now, it's Petal. Well, I mean, sure, but Petal had a pretty big, whatever. Hack advantage is a pretty big deal. I think there was a slight difference in how these two teams played that fight. Ever so slight difference in timing between EMPs and sound barriers. I mean, it had way more to do with the fact that the EMP from Dallas wiped out the coalescence from Waldorf, while Waldorf's EMP Waldorf's EMP very much did not wipe out the coalescence from Artsy there, but whatever. Right. The EMP comes off for Waldorf, but the sound barrier still gets released in plenty of time from none type. Couldn't quite find timing Waldorf, so Winston in the sky, extra sky time. Louis gonna pop his first. Primals at each other. Get him into the back line. In comes Joe, down goes Joe. Jukebox has knocked him off with boosters, and Louis gonna go for 2 environmental. Starting to look a little one-sided. Probably a touch early on that Winston bubble, but okay. I want to see that. So we're doing this. We're trying to push them back. You're going to TP past it for your frames and do that. Your follow-up on it probably isn't going to be great because of how the self-destruct was thrown in. That was sort of a forced EMP, which lets Artsy be hiding effectively well enough to coalescence for it. Sure. Okay. That was a little messy tracking for Petal there for a moment. Oh, bye-bye. Bye-bye, Louis. Okay, that got a little one-sided on that. Some of that had to do with Artsy was just not going to get caught in EMPs, and that's going to be life. Like, that's a positioning difference being recognized for the Moiras. Like usually again, the 6-man is, oh, your comp dives in and your Moira has to fade right in after it to go help, and like that's how it works. It's a little bit more complicated than that in the mirror. Yeah. Okay.
Tower is all wrapped up, but that was their first not do
Like in the mirror, you accept that you're both dive comps. You play a little bit more for your positioning, and you'll see that Petal eventually adjusted to do that. Didn't really do it in the first round, and it started working well. Okay. On to King's Row.
Yeah, there's that. I would not. Space Ghost has just had the worst job. Space Ghost is out here. You're on May against Kashir Khan. Get in. Full on brawl.
How long's our pause? There we go.
Playing the poke a lot more damage than.
Okay, so here we are. We're rolling out. We see that our comps are real, and we have a super brawl from Waldorf. They're not going with the McCree. They're not going with a Tracer. They're not going with a Samurai Doomfist. Waldorf is going full May Reaper. Like, they're determined to win in close range, which I'm not really convinced is the best version of Brawl. Whereas we have the standard old school-ish Brawl at this point from UT Dallas. And we're trying to attack with our Reaper May one. I suspect this is going to be a little bit of a problem. I suspect that we're going to have an off-angled Petal just wrecking this team.
Well, and Blob's going to have a lot more damage than Petal, right? I mean, in an extended fight, there's no reason.
No, that's not how it works. So our caster is telling us about how Blob is going to have a lot more damage than Petal in an extended fight, but that's never how it's going to work. Like, Petal should not be stacking with his team like I'm afraid he's doing right there. He should absolutely be going, oh, as my team pushes or as the other team pushes, I walk through the off angle and I shoot them in the side. Or I'm camped up here on high ground and I go pew, 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 and I shoot them in the side and I just get easy pickoffs. Whereas Blob actually does have to deal with Rhine shields, May walls, things like that. Like, this is part of the problem. There's ways around it for Blob, don't get me wrong. Blob can do some off-angling work himself. You can play a very slow comp, be very careful with your rotations from close space to close space, accepting that UT Dallas has the better poke comp, and intentionally force the fights in places where Petal doesn't have angles, and then, yeah, grind out your advantage. But let's see what happens here.
Petal has to do more work than Blob mathematically to make.
But Petal knows how to do this work. Petal has played this comp in contenders. I guarantee you Petal should understand what his job is. That's been one of the criticisms of Petal at a contenders level that, well, I won't get into it too much. I mean, Petal has had some good days on McCree. Some less so on other heroes, but that's I'm not going to get too much into that. He's going to know what to do on McCree here. Mm-hmm. So was this just wall difference? Let's go back here real quick. We're pushing up. Blob's going for that, but there's nothing up there. Has to drop. So as we look at our resource exchange, we have a range differential, and we have the having to push into a team differential that causes the Rhine Shield to break early. The Rhine Shield breaking early causes a bad May wall, or maybe it's just a bad May wall. Take your pick. I'm not saying the Rhine Shield is broken, but it's weak. That puts extra pressure on Waldorf to use their May wall, which shouldn't be out yet. So we get a way better May wall. This May wall actually causes a split, so this is a way better May wall out of Kashir. And even though it's then broken, released, whatever, like this was still a way better May wall in terms of what it allows the team to do, in terms of how much further ahead it puts them. And then unsurprisingly, because we got the better May wall from Dallas here, we're able to oh, it wasn't destroyed, it just was the camera flipping that sort of gave us that animation. We forced the lamp out first from Waldorf. And now we can push as Dallas because we know that we have lamp advantage. We convert lamp advantage. We don't even have to spend lamp advantage yet, and now we have ice block advantage too. We have more shield, we have ice block, and we have lamp advantage for Dallas here. Okay, there's the second wall coming back, but again, it's worthless. That's not going to work. These walls have to be better. And oh, look, that's a better wall. It causes a split. That's fine. It looks like Jukebox understands what his job is. You force Wraith, and this is beyond ever. Okay.
Kashir Khan spots Space Ghost trying to get aggressive for a wall of their own and just walls the May off instead. Oh yeah, and Space Ghost just got left out to dry. Poor dude. His whole team was like, all right, not a good first.
I mean, he got left out to dry, but it was his bad wall to start things off. Like, come on now.
We'll back up and fight again. Space Ghost like,
You didn't do your job. We're leaving you behind. Okay, so that's going to be the window coming out first from Waldorf. This is not unusual in this matchup that the team that is losing gets the first window. It's only a very short delay before Artsy will have his, but teams do sometimes try to take advantage of this usual difference. I don't really want my window there. You're just praying that that team isn't willing to push through that window. I want a shallower window than that. Like, that is a prayer that the other team is not willing to walk through that window, and they absolutely can. They absolutely can. Yes, it puts their backline not in the greatest place in the world if they do walk through that window, but I'd walk through that window, and their Ryan has plenty of shield to get through that window, then have his Ryan shield take regular rather than double damage, which then allows his team to walk through it. But they're going to instead answer the window with a wall that gets some, not as good value as their previous wall, but some value in terms of split, in terms of time that backline has to rotate before they're supporting. That lamp is probably too early. So that's the wall. That's a reasonable wall. Are we worried about D.Va? That's too early. But you see Artsy's window. You hear Artsy's window better than I do because I've got casters talking, and that's why you lamp here. I mean, it's okay. Again, this sort of starts with the window wasn't as good as it needed to be. I'm probably not willing to lamp quite yet. I'm probably greeting this for like another third of a second. Yeah, sure enough, no one was in danger. And the lamp goes down. And the window comes, or the wall comes up to block the other window. Fine. Both walls out again. Reasonable walls. Oh, and then the blizzard. That's gonna be rough. Are you gonna let them leave? Dallas is gonna let them leave. Okay. So this should mostly be a setup of we're going to have Ryan plus Core threatening one side while we have McCree or maybe McCree plus D.Va threatening the other side. That should be what happens here for Dallas. And yeah, the Blizzard advantage is pretty big for Waldorf this fight. Beats on both sides, Blizzard advantage, plus Blossoms available. Did hit the big shatter. We didn't really get to see it. Insults and whining from supports are just white nice. I hear you. We talked about Widows not being that shallow, but for Brawl, yeah, it should be further back. We talked about Windows not being that shallow. As a team, you guys talked about Windows not being that shallow. Windows can be pretty shallow. Like, I don't mind if they're personal windows most of the time, to be honest. I'm not saying they should always be personal windows, but yeah. Mostly I find what happens is Reinhardt's get like, no, I want to be able to use the window. I want to be able to fire strike through it, etc. But like, I don't really care if your Reinhardt can fire strike through it, because what's really important is that you're going to double heal strength him through it. You're going to shoot through it. If your McCree happens to be with you, so be it. But most of the time, I'd rather my McCree is on an off angle. Like, it does depend on the comp. If you're windowing in a full poke comp is like Bap Zen, yeah, you would like your Zen to be able to use the window too. But again, that doesn't have to be deep. So they built a little bit of an off-angle threat there. That off-angle threat is a little bit scary if you don't have your Reinhardt with your Mei, because your Reinhardt is sort of isolated, but your D.Va does go up and protect Dallas. You hit the Shatter, but you're not going to have any follow-up. That does get you Lamp advantage. And now you are going to have, as Dallas, Lamp and Wall advantage. Your Wall is going to basically cancel half of this beat and what's left of that lamp. Wall, wall, wall. Did I miss the... Did I miss blue team's wall? Did it happen earlier? Dallas? Oh, that's not a good wall.
Knock on wood.
That is not a good wall.
It's your fault, Paul. All right.
Yikes. There's still lamp advantage, but we don't want to have to use lamp to try to hold off the... Okay, so we're going to Blizzard instead. Sure, we're Blizzarding. Oh no, that's Waldorf Blizzarding. Yeah, this is just going to go poorly. You beat because you have to. I don't want beat and self-destruct at the same time. They basically are doing the same thing for you. Yeah. That was not a good one from... I mean, we got both Lucios. It's kind of symmetric. It's kind of funny, but it was a worse self-destruct from... I'd argue it was a worse one from Jukebox there. I really don't like self-destructs going out while beat is active. Your team's beat is active. It's not that there's never the right time. It's just that most of the time it's not right. Mm-hmm.
It's all Waldorf in the kill feed, just barely coming out ahead in this amplification. Louis in looks for a shatter. Everyone's on the floor. Immortality's out. The health bars are down. Beautifully timed out of roses though. Then will be able to
okay. And as Waldorf is going to push in here, Waldorf is going to push in.
They need it. Bombs out for both though. It's Blob in the back line looking for the big boy.
Why are you here? Like, you know that most of his team is right behind you. To your left and behind you. You like, this isn't weird. This isn't even pedal off angling to get people in the back right here. This is where they always were. Pedal does off angle harder to get you, but like even without that, they were right here. I guess you guys knew about the May wall and I didn't because of how we swapped cameras there. Okay, this is what I was expecting Pedal to do the whole time. Mm-hmm.
See, it's fine. It's fine. It didn't get eaten. It's fine. Everything's fine. There's that.
That's definitely your support bias there, Val.
Minutes on the clock, and Waldorf. I mean, they can just push this, right? The spawns would have been staggered a little bit from UT Dallas. A couple people would have gone all the way back.
Okay. Pushed up a little bit for space. Like, Pedal should just be going... I hope Pedal goes more wild with flanks here. My concern is potentially what you guys have found is that maybe Pedal is doing a lot of the shot calling for this team. And if that's the case, he might not be wanting to off-angle because it becomes harder to shot call for his team. That would be a problem, and if that's a problem, this would be a comp to challenge this team on. But I'm not seeing as much from him as I'd like in terms of off-angling. Okay. Window for wall, then the lamp. Lamp comes out second from Dallas. Mm-hmm. That's how that's generally going to work. It's close. Okay. Okay, I'll take it.
Louis actually didn't manage to block that shatter. That was a 4% from Papa Joe. Just a really good immortality field from Artsy Fartsy, keeping everyone alive. Louis tried to answer back, but Waldorf were just in a better position. It was less claustrophobic. They didn't have to use their immortality field so aggressively.
So we could see how the ult trading or how the resource trading was working in terms of the major resource in this comp, the wall, the lamps, etc. We did see that was slightly going in Dallas's favor. They were getting to use each of their resources slightly better. You generally want to be the first one. Generally, the way it works in your Brawl v Brawl is you want to be the team that gets the first meaningful wall. It doesn't have to be a perfect wall. It doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10 wall, but even like a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 wall. The team that gets the first wall is generally going to create an advantage for themselves, where they force amp out of the other team first. They force lamp out of the other team first. They force ice block out of the other team first. They force boosters out of the other team first. These are sort of the major resources that you're thinking about. And the other way to cheat yourself into this resource game is either you're off-angling Kree, just getting a pick, or perhaps you're Lucio and D.Va diving and punishing a backliner. But I don't think we're going to see that. The brawls don't look advanced enough to show that yet. But obviously, if you fall behind in the resource trade that I'm talking about, how you use the wall or you use the off-angling or you use that to get the major resources out of them, you can pay with ults. Like, you can go, hey, we're going to try to pay for the other team windowing. We're going to try to answer that with a ice wall. Okay, well, now the other team has ice wall advantage, but you've mostly neutralized the ult in the way that you needed to. So that obviously complicates things a little bit. But then you should, in theory, have your own ult somewhere to equalize.
Tough for UT Dallas.
Yeah, they're gonna have to try and engage here anyway. Send a point B.
Are we gonna go in without a race? Okay. Sure. Yep, that's fine.
Nice.
They were plenty distracted. Good.
He was just gonna go to town. Honestly, I don't even know if that Death Blossom was necessary, but I'm not like mad about it.
No, he needed the Death Blossom. He didn't have Wraith form, so he needed to deliver the damage pretty quickly to a bunch of targets. He was not in a place that he wanted to. He was not in a place that he wanted to hang out. So it was quickly destroy the lamp and then do that. Or even just before the lamp was destroyed, he could have done it, because Blossom does hurt lamps. Dallas? You okay?
Now I'm just watching for those blizzards again. Space Ghost and Kashir Khan both have them this time around. So Divas and
That's early to be turning that corner, Louis. Like, Louis, you can hold this corner like this, more like this angle. You don't actually have your shield out. I'm just using your shield to point out that you're not holding it like this. This is not appropriate. You don't have enough people that have a meaningful sight line yet. Like, if you actually had people up here, you actually had Blob ready to threaten from this way, or Blob had teleported up here, or Tone had taken up here, you could potentially go out like this. But right now, you need to be like this. There's no way that you partially round this corner and let them shoot at you. Oh, I'm mixing up teams here. Okay, so it could be Petal up on this high ground over here, or Artsy on this high ground over here, or Jukebox goes and takes up here as Lucio gets control up here, etc. Like, we need a better concave than this before we start giving them a shield to shoot at. Yeah. Do you not have boosters, Jukebox?
now I'm just watching for those blizzards again. Space Ghost and Kashir Khan both have them this time around. So Divas and Maze have to keep their heads on a swivel.
You immediately booster Jukebox. Like, this is, you immediately booster on top of this wall so that you can DM down over your Reinhardt, which also would happen to catch you a blizzard. But even if it didn't catch you a blizzard, you needed to decrease the damage that your Reinhardt took here. Like, this is wrong. You have boosters. Do it. Mm-hmm.
The wall comes out too. Blob out of the way. Louis, excellent charge there to save himself, but the rest of his team is in dire straits. The Dragon's gonna buy.
Okay, Petal takes the appropriate position. It's going to be relatively easy. I probably wouldn't have invested that. I'd have probably said take the next fight, but okay. It's reasonable, actually, to have invested that. Yeah.
Well, there's another wasted ultimate. Make it two.
I don't know if that was necessary.
Yeah, a little bit of, you know, they got the sound barrier out of it. He said, you know what, you can have the shadow.
Why?
Wasted ultimate. Make it two.
I don't know if that was necessary.
Yeah, a little bit of a.
So that's our Storm Arrow, no problem. That's a regular shot. That's a regular shot. That's a regular shot. Why are we Sonic Arrowing? What is Sonic Arrow getting us here? If you'd wanted to Sonic Arrow further to the left, no problem. Then you see when their respawns are coming back and you have better intelligence, better information on can we actually push up and stagger these guys, or are they about to get support? Do we need to be backing to have our own cover, or can we afford to be in the open? But you're like, let me send this over here. What? No. You don't need that.
What a crazy fight there from Petal. Petal just an absolute legend. Dodging in the air out of the Earth Shatter too. Papa Joe feels so.
Why did we ice wall there?
And here comes the Petal, just an absolute legend. Dodging in the air.
That is not right, Space Ghost. Like, I don't mind you trying to take the angle. I don't even mind you getting Valid's help to help you try to take the angle. But that was never the right ice wall. That ice wall advantage that they're going to have is going to be too big. No. You could use an ice wall to help your McCree take an off angle, a serious off angle, like back here. You can't use it really to take help yourself take an off angle. You don't take as big of off angles as McCree does.
Oh, and here comes the pin in. Oh, beautiful. That's classic Overwatch right there. UT Dallas just boot on the throat right now of Waldorf. And they get so many ultimates out of this too, right? Like, that was just a meat grinder in which Waldorf weren't able to do anything, and UT Dallas charged 4 very critical ultimates.
Now it's about really portioning those out, though. Oh, this wall. They smell it. They smell it. They know exactly what's up. There it is. No, that was way too smart by Waldorf. It got checked by Papa Joe, so they... It's about really portioning those out, though. Oh, this wall. They smell it. They smell it. They know exactly what's up. There it
Okay,
is.
stacked
No,
walls.
it was way too smart by Waldorf. It got checked by Papa Joe, so they should be able to cleanly disengage from this. But UT Dallas
Sure.
might be in a little bit too far to get out. Huge Dragon, though, is going to make it a dead even fight. And with no main tanks on the field, things get weird, but it definitely favors the team with the Hanzo and a corner to play around.
One UT Dallas, they're taking a page out of Northward's book, right? They just lost so much space.
Okay.
In the finals because
So Dallas now is a Lucio behind the other team.
Yeah, they lost the fight, but they're already back on the card.
But RC Farsi's on the flank. This is some interesting Baptiste play. This is something we've actually seen in Overwatch League a while ago. Not like the full flank.
I mean, it's not that weird. They got split. They didn't actually want to be split like that, but that's okay. They'll take it. They should have went and then gotten flushed out. Like, rather than, oh, let's get a couple meters of cart distance while they're not on it, it should have been, let's go deal with these guys and that'll stagger them. Like, we didn't want to create a situation where we're walking into being between their support line and their front line. Like, yes, it makes it hard for them to heal their front line, but just go deal with their support line.
In recent time, it hasn't stopped Waldorf from moving forward yet. It has stopped the cart for just a second, but Metal should be able to get out of this.
And now, ultimately, after dealing with the support line, we're able to get more cart progress.
There's still a wall.
It's fun.
Be a little careful.
Okay, so they can go up and contest Petal. They can get him off the high ground. And now Waldorf actually do have an opening. Only 1 minute and 40 in the bank, though. So this is a fight they very much want to win. I would just personally wait for them.
Okay. So we need something a little more interesting than this for our high noon play. I don't necessarily care what it is. The interest for our high noon play could be, hey, we're going to have left our McCree up here when we did our wall shenanigans. It could be, hey, our McCree is going to go around here and he's going to high noon from over here. He's going to go deeper and high noon from really the side behind Dallas here. Or it could be something as simple as, we're going to do this. We're going to use the high noon late in the engage, let the teams engage, let them start to swing at each other, then sort of go for the high noon rather than to push teams back to make the other team respond. And then we're going to, at the last second, wall ours up over the opposing wall that's going to come in his face. Like, these are all options, and you do this one after you've exhausted a bit. You intentionally withhold your May wall if you're going for this play. You exhaust the other team a bit, and you go for it. But just a basic high noon down mid in Brawl v Brawl is going to make me one sad reviewer.
I'm expecting another sound barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I would not be surprised to try and see them get in, unless they think they need to counter a blizzard. But the blizzard isn't quite up yet. There it is. Roses with a sound barrier engaged. They've been doing this time and time again.
Sure.
They don't layer up the sword ultimates this time, and so it's looking real good for Waldorf. They pick off everything off the back of it, and that should be enough to get there. It is. Rose, I'm expecting another sound barrier engage out of Rose.
Of course, I'm not claiming that the high noon is worthless. I just think it's much less value. It is much less value than what you can get otherwise, but they're pushed in. We've got that. We then have the sound barrier to follow it up. I have liked our sound barrier timing there.
They don't layer up the sword ultimates this time, and so it's looking real good for Waldorf. They pick off everything off the back of it, and that should be enough to get this card
Should be.
to the finish line.
Yeah, so that's good. You force the team back. They drain their resources dealing with the high noon, and then we get close to them while they're draining the resources with the high noon, and then we overpower them with beat, and then ultimately Blizzard to extend our power play, which is great. That's great.
Not a ton of time to be able to. That's one of the difficult task.
Okay, so we're walking out here. Waldorf finished the map. Dallas are out here with the standard brawl. Waldorf are continuing to play the Reaper.
Louis has a much more difficult task than Papa Joe does.
So we'd finished on the Cree, but we're now back on the Reaper. Okay.
Petal's job is
Sure.
different. His job is to try and find picks onto exposed squishy members.
I want to see a better angle.
Then Papa Joe
Trying to push that back. Okay, so this is reasonable. We have our Kree Diva from one direction, our Reinhardt from the other. Kree Diva is a little greedy, as it leaves the front line a little vulnerable to send your Diva that way too. and ultimately do win on the front line enough from Dallas's perspective. And that's the wall, counter wall, first wall slightly better. Reaper's in his own backline. That's not a great place for him. That's better. Did you have to Wraith?
As the fight stays in a stalemate, another block shatter for Louis as he's coming up on one of his own. This should be used.
You don't push this. Why are you pushing this? If they want to regather during their wall, so be it. Like, we don't need to. This isn't a useful wall. Like, this was a wall that they're spending to stop aggression on them, and you say, okay, we'll stop aggressing on you. We'll break the wall. Like, if Reaper wants to shoot from here, where he's protected, into this wall to help break it, and D.Va just goes, yeah, whatever. Like, Reaper can threaten from here while D.Va threatens from here if we want, but the reality is both of these players just leave, break this wall, or in this case, break this wall, whatever, or D.Va just stays here until Ryan breaks this wall, and then we continue once the wall's broken. This is forcing our own Wraith, and they didn't earn it. Like, I don't know why we walked into that. And our Mei and our D.Va also wanted, and we're spending DM to protect a Wreath Ring Raper, and then after our defensive resources are gone, they're going to shatter us. There's the lamp, but do they still have the lamp? There's the later lamp from Dallas. Artsy's getting a little too fancy with his window.
They don't have the damage. They don't have the damage to actually cleave through all of that. Between the immortality field and all of the healing pumped into there's not anything that you can.
Let's go, Roses. By the way, Roses is Roses. I can use his first name because we're tight like that. Yeah, I know top players, but it's not a big deal to me. There we go. There we go with the full-on Twitch chat spam. Love it. The copy paste. Okay. Doing our high ground rotation. Okay. You take this fight. You take this fight right now if you're Dallas, if you just saw how Reaper spent resources there. Reaper's missing. Mei walls are simultaneous. We're not recognizing our advantage as Dallas, and we're now going to get run over. The beat's early. You take the fight right now. Like, Jukebox has to call out that that Wraith happened and that Reaper is leaving. And we have to go take this fight right now. Like, we take this fight right now. Our BAP hops back up onto this high ground. Our D.Va angles out. Our Mei angles out. And we roll this team. Like, roll is a strong word, but we beat this team. There's the sound barrier, really a little early coming in here for Waldorf. This has sort of been what they've liked. They've used good brawl offensive sound barriers, but this one's a little early. That's not really better. It's strictly worse because you've already lost Petal by the time it goes out. But and now we have more brawl power. Yeah, we're just stacking brawl power. And it's going to work. I mean, if you go, hey, we're going to stack brawl power in terms of brawl ults between beat, and then after beat, we're going to use Blizzard, and during Blizzard, we're going to use Blossom. That is a lot of brawl power. Got to make 2 more minutes of holds. I'm surprised we're not seeing more off angling from Petal. I really am. Okay. We're rotating there. Now, please tell Petal. Why are you here, Petal? Is this going to be a D.Va Lucio dive? No. D.Va off-angling by herself isn't going to be threatening enough. Like, that doesn't work well enough. D.Va off-angling by herself here, like, yes, in standard play, D.Va off-angles by herself, but they're gentle off-angles. Like this, she's actually taking off-angle. She can't DM her team to protect them all from here. If she was up here, no problem. If she was over here off-angling, no problem. But off-angling with something physically between them, that's going to be rough. That's going to make protecting her Reinhardt more challenging. And if I want her over here, it's because I want her and Lucio to dive and eliminate, say, Tone here. Like, that's what I want to do. I want them to have gone, Tone is using his shift poorly, and therefore we can punish and go do that. That's the sort of thing I want to see if the D.Va's off-angling. But that's not going to happen, because D.Va's unlikely to do that safely by herself. She needs a little bit of help, be it McCree, be it Lucio, something. McCree's really the one who can off angle by himself and make it work in this comp. And now I'm just sad. There's our windows. Good. Good off angle from Blob here. Probably had to Wraith out right there.
To get them the picks they need, and I love this from Louis. A lot of times,
that UT Dallas can't recover from.
Mm-hmm. So our windows over there doing basically nothing. The lamp is early.
moving up to their name.
Then there's the window and the wall.
Got a collapse here. Again,
And Blob is trying to answer it with good threat, good angles, but it's just too much. Yeah. I mean, the resources were just already out, and the ult had already been invested on the wrong side of the map. It was too easy to rotate from. Okay.
But honestly, probably 70-80% of the time, the better play is just to charge through them. Utilize the pressure that it puts on the opposing Reinhardt to really take a boatload of space, and that's exactly what happened in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
With Blob actually being zoned off all the way back by the arch, trying to find a pick on a squishy member that was stepping forward. Nobody stepped forward. He couldn't find a pick, and because Blob was away, he didn't have that extra pressure onto Louis that has been keeping Louis in check in a lot of these fights. Waldorf are back quickly. It was a clean fight, and they're taking another. And because Blob was away, he didn't have that extra pressure onto Louis that has been...
Okay. Are we really going to push through Arch? Please just hold Arch. Please just hold Arch. We're going to push through. Okay. If we were going for this self-destruct play through Arch, I probably did want to go ahead and have someone take window. And it can't be D.Va if D.Va's the one doing the self-destruct, but Reaper could have TP'd up here. Like something to get me anything that isn't just 6 of us or pressing W behind a self-destruct that's been thrown in. Anything.
He didn't have that extra pressure onto Louis that has been keeping Louis in check in a lot of these fights.
That said, especially early in seasons, especially when teams aren't really comfortable yet, the team that has more will go first, will go, rah, charge, everyone press W together, does tend to do pretty well. Early in metas, early in seasons, when teams are fresh. And haven't had a lot of time training together. That's pretty predictable. I mean, that's when you shatter. When a team is pretty obviously engaging on you like that, shatters are pretty reliable. Not perfect, but fairly reliable. Mm-hmm.
Actually get it because they know how game winning can actually be. Freezes up on either side, but remember, UT Dallas' spawn is right there. This is like winning a fight on 2CP. You need to win it cleanly, and Waldorf, I'm sorry, doing anything but that.
Yeah, so this is just a bad engage. Like, to be perfectly honest, it wasn't set up properly by Waldorf. It's like, aha, we're going to surprise you. You're not going to expect us to do this. You have to have something more in your favor if you're going to do that. Again, maybe it's a Reaper's teleported up to the window. Maybe it's, we know that they have no ults. Maybe it's we already left someone behind in there, so we have to go rescue them, so we have to do it. So that's, going to cause them to turn or something. Maybe you sent your D.Va up to the window and you had your D.Va self-destruct through the window, then remech and drop from the window. Or maybe you sent Blob up down over here, preferably on McCree, and he's shooting in from here. Like, anything that is going to help this would have made it better. But the reality is we just gave up one of the stronger hold points on this map in exchange for a low probability initiation right on top of their spawn. Like, no. I'm not remotely against spawn camping, by the way. This is not me being like, oh, that was stupid. It's just this choke that Louis is at right now is our strong hold for the defensive team in Brawl v Brawl. And now we don't get to do it.
And make it more economical and spend more of UT Dallas's time bank if you just wait and let them get to the arch first, because then they're going through the choke instead of you. But
Caster's right this time.
The problem is UT Dallas, look how much space they're taking now. Now Waldorf
have
to go through choke.
Where's that engage from?
Let them get to the arch first, because then they're going through the choke instead of you.
Tone's in a fine place. Are we just going to teleport above them and then blossom? Kind of a little early. Okay. Is Jukebox asleep? Why did that get so much value? Why did that get so much value? Huh. Like, it's not like Waldorf was close enough yet that they couldn't pay attention to Blob, that paying attention to Blob was going to mean that the front line wipes them out. Like, Was no Jukebox isn't back. Yeah, I'm not sure what's up.
Oh, that is insane. That's what the Reaper gives you.
And I think Jukebox was just amp matrixing a little too high. Like the matrix was on him, but it was a little bit off, if that makes sense. There's a team in there. There's no reason for that to get 4 kills, but I do think there's just like a minor issue.
I mean, to be honest, there's no reason for that to get 1.
Being a big issue.
Well, now Waldorf,
Like that should have absolutely been DM flash eliminate Reaper. Like the team was not close enough. The follow up from the front line was not close enough when that trigger got pulled. But we'll take it. If we're on Waldorf's side. If we're on Dallas' side, we're upset with our diva.
I mean, it's not playing with the choke point necessarily, but you're playing with some awkward places at the very
Okay, flipping the map.
This position will be okay.
Petal should have stayed behind. Petal quietly stays behind. No, Petal. You guys rotate this way, and you just then quietly wait here while your team finishes the rotation, and then you do this peek from here, so you're high nooning from here, not first, because Diva will answer you, though it's not the end of the world if you go first, but you let your team start to push, their team angles to match you, and then you go, yep, 1 second late high noon peek, and oh shoot. Like, that's just the play. It just is.
The walls, though, same way it has prior. There's a lot of ultimates, but it's how many ults can you deny with one?
Mm-hmm. Bren do be going. Oh, was that something in response to something Caster said? Which one's Bren?
Be okay for UT Dallas. It's all about the walls, though. Same way it has prior. There's a lot of ultimates, but it's how many ults can you deny with one? Blizzard is used.
Oh, was Bren Blob for the 4K there? I mean, it was cool. Roses, got it.
What a great fight from UT Dallas.
Was it though? Like, I don't mind the rotation. We do this, we get the wall out of them, no big surprise. Are we now going to wall our own? We're not. We're going to pull the trigger. Somehow that's going to get through, even though we have DM in his face. So be it. The Jukebox is also going to get Space Ghost Blizzard. So Jukebox is trying to redeem himself. And then we're aggressive engaging with the beat again. But the Shatter turns it. Yeah. Kind of the unfortunate reality here that this is why some of the higher level Lucios will talk about how, like, engaging with beat is just really, really rough because it gets shut down. Like, beat's pretty good for breaking other teams' engages onto you. It's pretty good for responding to things like a Shatter, but I'm not going to get into it. I don't think it's relevant enough. It's why you're seeing some of the Lucios shy away from being willing to use their beat as an aggressive ultimate. The real answer is you just have to use it later in the fight, but still before you've lost anyone. But finding that window is really, really challenging because the TTKs are so short.
Okay. The focus fire on one section of the wall that came up from Space Ghost there, opening up the possibility for Petal, and also denying the...
He lets you his... Roses is the strongest and best looking on the team and tallest, and he lets you his Rolex for team photos. Okay.
Segment of the wall and breaking it because they knew that was something that Space Ghost did earlier. Walled up and blizzarded behind it so that there was no way to deny it. UT Dallas,
there he is. Hey, Brennan, or Roses, I guess. Okay, so here we are.
Segment of the wall and breaking it because they knew that was something that Space Ghost did earlier. Walled up and blizzarded behind it so that there was no way to deny it. UT Dallas, they read it this time.
Papa Joe can't do anything. This is a speed drop if you do it. And gets called out by Jukebox, yeah.
Yeah.
This is okay. Wisely backing away. I honestly think this is for the better. That was a try to get anything done from there, and it probably doesn't work.
I mean, he wasn't actually trying to get anything done from there, which you have to understand is sometimes Reinhardts are in places because they're denying other people access to them. Like, for example, Jukebox can't stay up there. Jukebox can be shooed away from there. Jukebox can't pre-set up there and then have time to get boosters back before the fight if Papa Joe is up there. Like, that's just a misunderstanding of what Papa Joe was trying to do. Okay, there's the boop in. Now they have a huge concave on Papa Joe. They also have their support ults going. Papa Joe should be in trouble. Just barely holds on there. But yeah. So that was actually a nice setup here. It's an overinvestment of ults, potentially. But as we look at this from Dallas's perspective, they're doing this. They've hit that wall. They get the first wall, better wall. They have the High Noon. High Noon's getting answered with a wall as best we can. Fine window. I'm really not convinced that we need this window. I'm really not convinced that this window is helping enough to be worthwhile. Then we've got this here, where this is fine, whatever. But that is nice, where we've got Nuntype sends in the Reinhardt into the beated team. Yes, please. And Papa Joe's also cut off by the cart somewhat from his healing. Yes, please. And even if you don't take Papa Joe down here, this forces the lamp. Like, yes, that boop forced that lamp. That pin almost turned things around, but not quite. Yeah. Big boop.
UT Dallas in the last two fights have flipped some sort of switch. They are reading every single thing that Waldorf wants to do right now. The stun onto Papa Joe, who had the win condition, Kashir Khan and the Blizzard in a pin. That was a beautiful stun. It opened up Kashir Khan.
I mean, I'm sure Papa Joe was called as the focus target there. Like, I have to imagine Nuntype called that opening. And I'm not sure that they booped him in because he had Shatter, that would have been a fine reason to do it. I suspect they did it because the opening was there, and that's what Lucius do.
A lot of fights here, so if they win one off the back of this upcoming Death Blossom and Blizzard, this is still a winnable map for Waldorf. Keep in mind, Waldorf have
Please tell me this isn't what I see.
here, so if they win one off the back of this upcoming Death Blossom.
Okay, so that's a Blossom. If we look to our right, we're going to see that Papa Joe is still pretty far away. Okay, I suppose we got close enough.
Okay, it is very clear what Blob wants to do. He will not get away with it again.
Yeah.
No 4K this time. Instead, it's Petal taking out the Mei. Ryan for Ryan. Blizzard.
We can't see enough.
Okay, it is very clear what Blob wants to do. He will not get away with it again. No 4K this time. Instead, it's Petal taking out the Mei. Ryan for Ryan, though, is a big trade to be getting down. I love this.
Windows here. Reaper can't really use it, but that's life.
All the space and re-solidifies the team where they want to be. Blob's going to go double dip for more, and that's absolutely the right play, especially considering the time bank.
Yeah, absolutely. You go for that.
Oh, don't die.
Every time you go for that pick. Even if Blob dies there, like, it just stalls more time up. Dying there is bad.
That's a little worse.
Dying there is rough. That was later than you want.
Why are you just giving them shield, Louis? Use the cart or use the cover to your right. You can still push the cart from there. Louis?
You know what they say? 6 ults. You can lose a fight pretty easily because you just chuck them in, not worrying about the value.
Okay. How did Petal end up on that angle?
But you know what they say? 6 ults. You can lose a fight pretty easily because
He just walked.
chuck them in, not worrying.
So there's the self-destruct. And the High Noon. And the Blizzard. The beat to protect from the Blizzard. Okay, well, it's too many ults. They had an answer to the Blizzard. Not a full answer to Blizzard. Beat isn't really a full answer to Blizzard, but, you know, a bajillion ults going off plus beat is enough of an answer to the Blizzard. Okay.
I like tore the momentum away, and that's how they get for UT
forcing issues. They're so great at capitalizing. Actually, wrong wall. The headshots that he needed. Burt down immediately. Able to push them off of the knew immediately. This fight is so good for UT. Waldorf has used so many resources. Now Petal has the angle that he wanted. He's got the headshots that he needed. They just need to be able to push them off of this one statue, and they should be able to take the rest of this fight. Look at how close RC Farsi is to getting the ultimate. He's got.
So here we are.
Now, for a moment, if there's a good chance they call out Blob on the right side of this choke. Like a strong chance. He played here last time.
Yeah, okay, so they did get the Sonic Arrow on him there. And he's looking.
They check it immediately. Blob is low. Wraith
Now we're down Wraith. And we're down Ice Block.
There it is. And
Oh boy. Do we still have wall on Waldorf side or no? There's our off angle in.
He's got the headshots that he needed. They just need to be able to push them off of this
Sure.
one statue.
Oh, because we haven't dealt with the Reaper yet. Interesting.
Look at how close RC Farsi is to getting the ultimate up.
Oh, this is right. I mean, you play the Reaper effectively like a Doomfist. When he goes in, your team goes in hard.
Blob tries again to get in the back line.
And he keeps trying to get behind them.
But not before the wall goes up. Shatter for Papa Joe. 180. Finally lands. We can't find the block, and that's the main tank down. Waldorf hold on despite the fight being so rough at times.
It's just a comp diff.
It's not over yet.
UT Dallas, they're so reliant on Petal right now. At least they break through the initial choke point, but we're down to 5 seconds and they're just barely touching. They have no ultimates on the board. They're getting close to a sound barrier.
Respawns are just better for the attacking side here. Petal found the key. That's the Reaper. By the way, there's no damage for Waldorf. There is no damage for Waldorf. It is all up to Papa Joe, and Papa Joe is not.
What are we talking about? There's a BAP. That's lots of damage. There's a BAP with a window. But yeah, I mean, this was kind of junk time here. In terms of Waldorf just has to throw themselves at the point. Yeah.
They are lucky that they traded well in that initial fight because
I mean, Petal showed up. Petal clutched.
You're not wrong. I would argue that fight should have been the end of them, though. Petal is just a madman who ended up getting that clutch through. Now they'll be able to get this payload online. Waldorf, don't run through the choke this time. It's not about buying time this time, guys. It is about taking the best fight you can, and
it's not about.
No, now we're going to have a different surprise play. This is actually a better surprise play. Sure. Yeah, the wall doesn't quite do it. Blizzard comes out. Are able to aggressively get behind them during it. And then Artsy's up here with the off angle, though. And that's just going to be too much. Yeah. That's a good retreat in general spot for BAP. But I don't just like that engage. And I don't like what Space Ghost did in terms of taking it deeper there either.
Now UT Dallas get through that for a very inexpensive fight. They're still going to have a Dragon Strike up for this next fight. I mean, Waldorf, they're coming up on a lot of ultimates, but at this point, UT Dallas, they just feel like they have the better read on a lot of these fights, on where Waldorf are going to be setting up. Look, Blob is spotted. There's no way he's going to get an easy Death Blossom from the high ground this time.
I mean, at this point, it's down to nerves. It's down
sure.
to clutch more.
Waldorf, they're coming up on a lot of ultimates, but at this point, UT Dallas, they just feel like they have the better read on a lot of these fights, on where Waldorf are going to be setting up. Look, Blob is spotted immediately. There's no way he's going to get an easy Death Blossom from the high ground this time.
I mean, at this point...
So we see the wall, we see the lamp. That's going to lead us into Dragon. This is a powerful place for Dragon, but it's also a powerful place for that. And we have the trigger effectively pulled first there for Dallas. Okay. It's not going to get you more. Yeah.
And there's no way that Waldorf
re-engage.
There's one way that Waldorf win the next fight. I mean, they're not going to be able to stop it very soon here.
That is not a particularly amazing Sonic Arrow.
Is made or broken on the back of Space Ghost. This Blizzard has to go flawlessly. Otherwise, Waldorf have no chance. Blob switching over to the McCree as well. That's a bit of a Hail Mary, too.
Yeah, that's a reasonable window.
Not even gonna give him the They're taking fights
That is not a good sonar arrow.
before Waldorf
Ugh.
blinked. They said, "Wait, we're not ready. Don't attack us." UT Dallas doesn't care.
You don't need to push that in quite like that. You could have kept your high ground and just gone through the window.
On one side, a Dragon Strike on the other. Even if you get through, there's gonna be an Earth Shatter. Like
Better.
There it is, cut in half. Space
Mm-hmm.
looking for a blizzard. Kashir Khan gets his eaten though. Big play by Valid.
So that's a big deal. That's a big deal here. We're seeing what should have been a strong play here from Dallas in terms of, hey, they get to make their Dragon Strike through that should be splitting the other team.
even if you get through, there's gonna be an Earth Shatter. Like
And as this is happening, ideally we'd be able to get a. I mean, this is a bad wall, unfortunately. Ideally, this wall would be helping make our dragon more effective, but Kashgar is or Kash Khan is in too much trouble here, so has to use his wall to protect himself, and kind of got D.Va stuck in doing so. You see, D.Va was also trying to leave this way, and now D.Va's stuck without boosters, so we're not getting much done. And then we also have the Blizzard to push back in on that dragon that wasn't really controlled as well as we'd have liked. Plus, the Blizzard opened from the other side. Like, yeah, Cash got in trouble there. Mm-hmm. Good.
Despite having a downright incredible push, will not be seeing the end of King's Row for a second time.
I mean, all three ults away from it's off.
If they got
Fartsy no live fixed fight
their bed, and now they must lie in.
Okay. So we're looking at this. Waldorf has some time to get the cart going. Let's see what we can do here.
Number one advocate for making your bed. I myself can say they have made their bed, and now they must lie in it.
Blob, please don't rotate with your team. Please don't rotate with your team. Please don't rotate with your team. Valid, please boost her up. Please boost her up. Please boost her up. Good! Better Valid. Okay. So, like, this fight here could be happening, but it should be happening with this person here and these two over here. Like this is more how it works. And that works better for you if you're the attacking team because you get to be like, oh, we can pivot and see our person without, we can pivot and see our person to support them, whatever. But whatever, we'll do. We'll do.
Way to go. Immediately getting walled off by Space Ghost. It's Blob dropping low. UT Dallas make the push forward, trying to split away the supports, and they've done so effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Better.
Trying to finish off one of those supports. And
sure, I can live with that. Are we going to go left? Good. Petal's getting some help. That's an interesting person to come help Blob, but okay. And then the front line is going to get wiped out because we pulled our front line to go help the off-angle battle.
Yeah, the idea here for Waldorf is they want Blob to be on McCree just to put pressure on Petal, right? And he is doing quite a bit of work outside of the pressure on Petal as well. He's actually outpacing Petal to the Deadeye. But it doesn't allow you to pressure Louis as heavily, right? You called it out perfectly. The tanks get a lot more space, and Louis is going to...
Okay. Sure.
Alright, speaking of buying space, here's a Deadeye.
What? Okay. I mean, that can't happen.
It's disaster in Dallas, baby! The Waldorf are coming for your throats, and they want this point A. Good defense, Matrix will buy you some time, but that should be it. One right over. And now, for Petal and Jukebox, spawns are going to be miserable. Gets one with them on the way, though.
That is a critical fight there. And, I mean, Petal dies so late. I don't actually think there's a full six-person contest here at this choke point. So the one area I was really...
No, there's definitely not.
Attacking side, they're just going to breeze right through.
Yeah,
no
they're going to push up, and S is going to be the choke fight.
Overtime,
Hey, Semitic! We're on map 2 here. We're in extra rounds on map 2 here. Dallas took the first one. We're looking at Dallas and Waldorf. Waldorf, my tweet was wrong. Waldorf's program came into existence 2 weeks ago.
This is way better from Kashir Khan. This is so much better from Kashir Khan.
Whereas Dallas finished top 8 last year. Though Dallas have made some good roster upgrades as well.
Get onto the streets phase in overtime. Still, you have to win like 4 overtime fights. So it's a long way to go, but they've taking the first step.
Okay, so we're pushing back out as Dallas. We have some high ground control. We dropped off our high ground control, and we're just going to get shattered. Well, that can't happen. You say that, but Diva went down. And right, the Diva going down is going to lead to Blizzard shenanigans. Mm-hmm.
This is so much better from
Mm-hmm.
The May diff is infallible, incalculable. The distance between these two right now, and Space Ghost, my God, you've been putting up a hell of a fight this match, but those Blizzards just showed us who is the top dog. Kashir Khan comes through and is gonna take a map too for you.
I mean, totally assisted by the whatever. I mean, like one Diva literally can't. You can't. It's not sneaking it past the Diva when one Diva is stunned and the other isn't. But okay.
I mean, just underhand that one in there.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. I was surprised at how little on this comp, how little off-angling we saw from Petal. I actually think that they needed to, like, they didn't recognize or something that, wait, Blob is on Reaper. We have to play this for off-angles. We have to play this like this. We're not worried about Blob showing up on McCree on off-angles. That's going to be fine with us. I'm surprised that we didn't play much more around that off-angle win condition for Dallas. But they didn't, so it worked out. Blob understood some of his stuff. Blob obviously got way too hopeful on those blossoms. I'm amazed at how not lucky, but at that he got one of those, that first one there. But we really do need to tighten the timing between our blossom, when we pull the trigger on our blossom, and our front line being there. Because if there's like any separation, the Blossom's not going to get enough value. Blob's going to go down. It's very similar to engaging with a Doomfist. Like the Doomfist goes in, goes hard, except the Doomfist is more durable when he goes in than the Reaper. We have to immediately be following him in. We have to be close enough that walls can't be a problem, etc. We have to be like right there. But that's okay.
Where's the defense matrix? Okay. Yeah, it's like just missing. That's unfortunate. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we're on to map 3 now. And this is a best of 5 or first to 3, so this might be the last one, or it might not. Are they giving us a commercial? No, thank you. Hanamura. Okay.
And then when they actually had success, the map and rolling rush. You want to mirror that? We're game.
So we're going more brawl here because we're heading to Hanamura and both teams are leaning into it. Interesting. I wouldn't consider this a super heavy brawl meta, but sure. If the map picks take us here, I guess it's loser pick, so I guess Waldorf is taking us to the brawl maps. That makes sense.
Let's do it. We just
Dallas showed us that they kind of wanted to play something different in the very first round there with the balls in on night markets and then the 6-man. That's kind of a brawl. But we are just going to straight play it through brawl on both sides. Oh! I lied. Waldorf is ready to bring out the Orisa comp.
Waldorf? Is this just for an early pick out the gate? Or are you actually going to try and play some...
It's just early old.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Fine.
That would not have gone well.
You know, considering UT
I mean, it would have been like, hey, this could be fun. It would not have gone well. But hey, this could be fun.
That could have been bad.
That could have been.
Alright, Petal, not the Ash, the Haunter. Still equally as devastating when in his hands.
Okay, TP over to there, sure. On to point. Are able to take the space that we need to. That's already over. We've already got it for Waldorf. No, it was already over, I promise. You can't let them in that easily. Like, when you're the brawl team, you have to get in first. You had to deny that. And it's not like it was some, oh, we don't know what they're on comp. Like, that's just poor. Mm-hmm. Can we snowball off it as Waldorf?
The Diva, oh no.
The Diva, that's rough.
This is as bad as it gets for UT Dallas.
Okay.
Long story short, they're screwed. They are royally incomplete. No.
What just happened here? Why are you here?
Have to back up the second.
Pedal?
They're gonna get
Like, you
smoked.
had to get yourself a... Okay, well.
The diva. Oh no.
Oh, the diva. That's
no.
rough.
This is as bad as it gets for UT Dallas.
So they didn't time properly, forcing themselves to get eliminated, and now they're going to get snowballed. Something that shouldn't really happen in Overwatch anymore, because you can very much control when you get eliminated on
Pedals around the back
2CP.
post. He's behind the shield. They
That's a
didn't
big
clear
one.
him.
Mm-hmm.
And the shatter looks to get him back in
No.
the fight. Louis done it as well. And
So here we are.
long story short, nah, they're screwed. They are royally and completely screwed.
But because it was a rush to point, they haven't fully established map control. I mean, Petal shouldn't have gotten back here. Petal should have been eliminated. That's a little weird. Is Petal just able to get two here? No, we got the one. And then we have the shatter where Reinhardt is on the wrong side to deal with it. No. No, it's not. It's our shatter from there. Okay.
And the shatter looks to get him back in the fight. Louis done it as well.
Sure.
Holy.
Okay.
Two people. That is about the worst position you could possibly be in on a 2CP point. You had 3 players stranded on point A, waiting for, what, 10, 15-second spawn timers?
Yeah, it never should have happened.
I can't believe they
Only thing that worked out there was, hey, we have a Hanzo from one direction and Earth Shatter from the other direction. It works out. It gets us back into it. Part of that is Waldorf got a little too interested in let's stack everyone on point rather than, wait, no, you've got point control. You don't need everyone on point anymore. You need to go properly take space, properly clear the places. And that's an easy trap to fall into when you're snowballing like that, to not realize, wait, did we go clear the stuff that we need? Do we have control of the high ground? Do we have our people set up in the places that make it very hard to remove us from the point? Like if we put our BAP back on high ground rather than being on the point, did we pop our BAP up to either this high ground here, that high ground to there, or the high ground sort of above center there? It's an easy trap to fall for, but I get it.
You had 3 players stranded on point A, waiting for, what, 10, 15-second spawn timers?
I would think defense on this map could lean poke well. I don't think they would bring it back. I didn't think they were bringing it back. They were 64ing for a while, for a bit.
Fight where they thought they just left him. Pedal just did that same thing. He pulled a Landon, dude. That is amazing work. Still 2 ticks taken. 5 minutes on the board. Not
Okay.
Dallas though.
Pedal's not really hitting shots there. Interesting.
High ground, and
Blob going for that.
a very difficult job to do in holding any of this high ground. And I'll be honest, he's not
Obviously, Waldorf is continuing to use sim strats, which are fun on this map.
a sheer cons throwing icicles everywhere. You're waiting for
Are we going to get a Sonic to enable a Dragon Strike?
clever TP from Space Ghost to get them in here.
And the problem is the second Waldorf want to go in through this choke point, the Dragon Strike and the Blizzard are both going to be there.
And I'm really curious to see why this ball isn't being used right now, because you're just
That's not a big deal.
there's a Dragon Strike. That was a cheap fight for UT Dallas.
And that's another situation where I just don't think that's the angle you want to approach the point from. I mean,
There's not a better one.
to approach a Dragon Strike and a Blizzard.
There's not a better one, Caster. Like, I get it, but, like, the only better one than that is top right, and top right is worse if they're defending against it. So, let me rephrase that. Top right is, yeah, well, I'll leave it at that. Top right is the best approach to this angle, but it gets hard held, so you break it with approaches on the left, especially when you have sim TPs.
They're gonna have to ram their head into that wall a little bit more. Whether they end up with a concussion or
Sure.
kind of up to them. They're looking for a TP onto the Hanzo, but the Hanzo's not there. He's in your back line.
Now Petal's doing his flank stuff. I would have liked to see a little more of that on the previous map,
And a lot
on the Kree.
used by UT Dallas. This is all in all not the worst fight ever for Waldorf. They've come out on top, even though they had less ultimates to start, and they've used less. Even if this gets held, which it's looking like it will be, considering Zant Matrix is keeping this Reinhardt alive for so long.
Tagging second on this map always feels so bad. Yeah. Some people are like, oh, Hanamura is pretty. I'm like, I don't like it. It's not my least favorite 2CP because they added worse 2CPs, but like I am much happier to go to Volskaya or Nubis than Hanamura.
Could have made that exact same happen fight and use only 2 ultimates. I think that would have been an amazing fight for Waldorf. But instead, UT Dallas, now they can go out. They're hardly feeling any pressure. Even though it's just 1 tick until a win for Waldorf, UT Dallas are in the driver's seat. They still got Pedal with the Dragon Strike here to zone out when Waldorf back through this choke too.
I mean, it's like we were talking about.
How are we on ults? We've got nothing. We've literally got nothing. So just try to execute a clean fight, accept that you're going to lose. If you can force ults out of them like Dragon Strike, that's good.
Space Ghost separated away. They need to take this engagement. Are they close enough, White? Wait, why are UTDLs going for this?
That was a great disengage.
Okay, they're gonna go for the bottom. They're gonna go for the bottom. Okay, there was
Yeah.
it was a good disengage, but there was just no cleanly getting away from that totally. Great job by UTDLs to capitalize.
Yeah, no, ultimately they got the follow-up to disengage, but that's fine. Waldorf, like, didn't really have a way to win this fight regardless. They were too far from ults. They couldn't even brawl and get the ults mid-fight. Now they can go into a fight and get ults mid-fight that allow them to actually win. So, if they can actually set up a proper push here... Feels like you're just forced to push right or on the left. Option 3 is push mid and get eliminated, except maybe if you're full dive. Yeah, I wouldn't even recommend it then.
Alright, Louis down. The Shatter smells free. Oh no, they did a magic trick. It's a disappearing act. Papa Joe's on the point.
Oh, right. I'm not in my replay viewer. I can't use that button.
Pretty important when you're talking about final points and denying.
So we're going for this.
There's always a chance the pedal just hits somebody.
Now there's a chance to make this work because of where ults are. There's that wall. We could have potentially used our wall to prevent this wall, but I get it. Oh no, we can't even. We're on the sim. My bad.
Alright, Louis down. The Shatter smells free.
Okay.
Oh no, they did a magic trick. It's a disappearing act. Papa
Yeah,
Joe's
that
on the
doesn't
point.
really work.
Oh, the Sunny's in your back line. Jukebox is down.
Ouch. That feels bad.
Alright, Louis down. The Shatter smells free.
Yeah,
Oh,
that feels bad.
they did a magic trick.
But
Disappearing act. Papa Joe's on the point. Oh, the Sunny's in your
this also feels bad. Was there... What happened?
Alright, Louis down. The
Yeah, that's
Shatter
fine.
smells free. Oh no, they did a magic trick. It's a disappearing act. Papa Joe's on the point. Oh, the Sunny's in your back.
I would like the frames where that got blocked. I would like to see the frames where that actually got blocked because they weren't present in this video.
Backline, Jukebox is down. The Shatter. What? Okay.
Huh.
Pedal killed 3. I don't think they win that anyways, but what happened?
I think
Chat, replay it.
it was just a graphics thing. Like, we didn't see the barrier, but Louis, like, astral projected one in front of him.
Maybe.
He was on some stairs just above him, and he jumped. It might have been just enough height.
Okay. It's not. Like, that is not enough height. You can get someone on the bottom level of a payload, not like on the ground, but like on the first level of payload, not on the height of a payload, and those stairs plus jumping are definitely not equivalent to being higher than the bottom level of a payload.
Might have been just enough height.
It definitely wasn't.
Anyways, Blizzard's out.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe in all the Shadow reworks I'm wrong, but I have the code if you'd like. Yeah, it was a frame perfect block. Okay, frame perfect block makes more sense. Oh, well, if I'd had the code earlier, I'd have reviewed this from a code, but since we're on map 3, I'm not going to hop over to the code now. All good. All good.
It's eaten though. Big stuff by Valor. That's how they ended Kings Row last time. Utilizing this wall to the best of its ability as well. Dallas is back in and
Just because we are missing some stuff in terms of how these fights are set up with this view, but that's okay. I want to see our start here. Sorry, I didn't think about that. All good. All good, Tony.
He was on some stairs just above him and he jumped. It
Okay.
might have been just enough height.
So we're starting with the Dragon Strike. We're answering with the wall.
Just enough height. Anyways, Blizzard's out.
We're beating with Simwall up? Why?
He was on some stairs just
Was
above
someone in way more trouble than I think?
just enough height. It might have been just
Yeah.
enough
So that's for Tony. We don't know what's going on back there, but that's for him. Okay.
height.
Get an eat on the Blizzard.
It's eaten though. Big stuff by Valor. That's how they ended Kings Row last time. Utilizing this wall to the best of its ability as well. Dallas is back in and swinging, baby. But Waldorf is showing up at the kill feed. With Blob out of the way though, it's only Space Ghost for damage. A 200 HP, very fragile Symmetra is now no longer on the field thanks to Pedal. And without DPS, Waldorf are not going to be able to close this one out cleanly.
It's not over yet.
Papa Joe to survive here.
No, it's... Eh,
I mean,
Oh, that's it.
the supporting is insane.
yeah.
And Artsy Fartsy just so low. They need it.
So that's unfortunate. I mean, I don't know what was on Tone there, but that we had to use our beat so early after using the sim wall is expensive. Like, sim wall is a pretty darn good offensive defensive ult, and we don't expect to have to be beating super early in that, or if we are, we expect to have gotten more brawl value by then, especially when we ate the blizzard.
On Waldorf.
And now, I mean, there's just not a touch. I mean, there's a touch. Okay, and it's gone.
Yeah.
Overtime should be nothing.
Okay. That's rough after the start there.
Either way.
But
And
that's Hanamore.
going
2 CP'd a bit.
vantage point to where he has a complete scope of the entire
Watch season, you know, can
I don't think so, guys. I don't think so.
match UT Dallas.
So now we're going to see that Waldorf is swinging over to ball comp. And I have no issue conceptually necessarily with a ball comp. I think a ball comp into a brawl comp is a doable thing. I think defending second point with this comp would be challenging, to say the least. And I wouldn't count on full holding first into brawl with this either. So like it's doable. I'm not going to say it's impossible. You have enough poke, you have a Discord orb, you have a pharmacy, you have a Hammond to touch point to disrupt, you've got Sigma for some poke, you've got Tracer. But this is going to be rough.
Well, they can't, right? I mean, these mirrors have not been going well for Waldorf. They have to try something else. They're on the defense here.
I'd still go for the mirror.
This is the best place to play Farah.
Unless you guys feel like way more comfortable in your ball comp, which I don't think you do. I think you feel more comfortable in your brawl based on what I've seen.
Hey, Waldorf.
Yeah. So they're going to go 6-man.
Goes into the rush move.
I actually would have been perfectly comfortable. Not perfectly comfortable. This is easier. It's easier to 6-man into this comp than it was to brawl into this comp. Slightly. But
Okay, let's just go on to our comfort. This is the composition UT Dallas wanted to run earlier when they played Northwood on this map. So,
okay.
hey, you're not going to make us force a rush mirror. We'll just play a comfort rush dive.
I mean, I'll tell you who they want. It is that three-man group
Mhm.
valid tone, and nobody really. A lot of times you see us run with an Ash instead of this Tracer that blobs locked in, but because it's just
Okay, set up over here with the Zen. You've got where's your oh.
Played Northwood.
Where is your Sigma?
Hey, if you're not
Eliminated, I know, but like you're over here.
we'll just play.
And Sigma got eliminated in there. So this can't really happen. You can't be like, oh, we're going to play this composition right here, with a Zen, and have it Sigma be completely somewhere else. Sigma over here, Zen over there. That's just not going to work for the composition. It's nice that they beat up your Sigma first. Sigma is vulnerable to dives, but Zen can't play totally unprotected. Like, Zen could play back there if you had a Brig, and then Sigma or Diva could play up here. That would be fine. But you don't have a Brig. And since you don't have a Brig, and your Mercy is mostly going to be paying attention to your Pharah here correctly, you have to position your Zen with your Sigma and your Sigma with your Zen. And that does create some compromises. It does mean that you have to go, hey, I'm going to put my Zen in a place that's maybe a little closer to the enemy team than I like because Sigma has range limitations. Or, oh, hey, I'm going to not let my Sigma get quite as much early spam as I'd like because I don't want my Zen that type close to the fight. Like, there's some compromises to be had there, but you can't be this separated. Like, I don't want to say your Sigma's free because your Sigma's not free. You can spam to protect your Sigma a little bit. Your Sigma's got a little bit of durability to him, but your Sigma sure would have been harder to take down with the Zen. But really, your Zen is too free. That's the real issue. Like, your Zen is just too free in this comp. If you don't understand that when you're running the Mercy rather than Brig version of this, you just have to.
Play a comfort rush dive.
I mean, I'll tell you who they want. It is that three-man group of valid tone, and nobody really a lot.
Yeah, that the casters are pointing out. Like, it should be the backline group, Valid, Tone, and it would be Brig, but you don't have a Brig, so it should still be Valid and Tone, and they're not together.
You see us run with an Ash instead of this Tracer that blobs locked in, but
Not really. If you know that you're playing against a heavy brawl comp, you could run Ash plus Pharah, but you're not generally going to run both of these. And if you are going to run an Ash and a Pharah, you're probably more likely to run an Orisa than a Hammond there.
because it's just the Zenyatta,
Yeah, there's nothing that can be done from here.
the Sigma in
Dragon's probably scared him into it.
A little bit of damage, but you need it.
Oh no, Sig, he was just destroyed. A little bit, little bit.
Was doing a pretty good job of stopping this from being completely taken over for the time being. But with almost 2 ticks taken, UT Dallas is looking clinical with this first push.
I mean, a lot of time is being stalled off by Waldorf here, so all things considered, not the worst thing. They'll get themselves up to some critical ultimates too. Space Ghost, although actually, I think this is actually maybe more of a detriment for Space Ghost than anything else, because now you want to hold on to the barrage. Right?
Oh, if they
you
take
want
all
to
the
have
baby
the
demons out
barrage
of
for
mech.
second place.
Yeah, you have to sort of use Barrage to win this next fight and then get off this hero.
Away, but yeah.
This isn't going to be
Space
great.
Ghost now has the difficult decision. Do I swap because Pharaoh's not that good on second?
No, you have to win with it. You guys don't have another good enough ult behind it.
It's an immediate fight. I mean,
No. No, the correct answer is not Brig. The correct answer is to adjust Valid's positioning. Yeah, this isn't going to work terribly well. I believe in the full hold on second. Okay.
these teams just do not stop with one another. Space Ghost wants
So we're trying to spam them out.
The
Sure.
positioning's a little hyper aggressive. Looking for point pressure now. Look at this flank from Jukebox. That was sick. It might not have found a pick, but it pushed a lot of people.
Yikes. So here we are. We're trying to spam them out. Not happening. We need to readjust our positioning to be able to set up around the fact that this team has retreated to this section of the map. They are going to stack together, get out, and just flip the map and poke them from your high ground from different directions. Make them still take long rotations. This team cannot just turtle on the point. 6-man is not strong enough to turtle on the point. It doesn't have a Rhine Shield. It doesn't have a Mei Wall. It doesn't have a lamp. It can't turtle on the point. It needs to figure out how to continue rotating to get close, to pull off short dives or rushes to get on your backline. And you guys just rotate back and put your backline on high ground. Rotate back and put your people on the front of point high ground, like those two places, so that these guys have to go, oh shoot, well now we have to go this way again, and sort of keep making them rotate while getting spammed and softened up by your Pharah, by your Zen, etc.
Pressure now. Look at this flank from Jukebox. That was sick. It might not.
What are you doing here, Artsy? Okay. Okay, sure.
But it pushed a lot of people together.
no.
Perfectly positioned for Artsy Fartsy's coalescence, and now follows it up with another big play. Completely eats the barrage. Jukebox, this one's yours, bud. You have absolutely.
Okay. Unfortunate. We did see what we saw here, so definitely need a bit of an understanding adjustment for Waldorf here in terms of how it works when you have Zen plus Mercy, what it means in terms of for your off tank, whether they're on Diva or Sigma. The positioning of these two becomes a little more tied together, and we need to be a little bit more aware of that. We also need to understand this comp wants to brawl. Rotate away from it and get your poke value if you're playing this comp into it. Like, that's how it works. Because people stayed here and didn't rotate out, Artsy went, well, I guess I'll go up here with my other guy and do this, and I have coalescence, and it'll be a powerful off-angled coalescence. Sure, we can deal with that. We also had a huge mistake, absolutely huge mistake here from Dallas in terms of just getting themselves staggered super late on their defensive first point and almost dropping second point because of it. So that's something that we have to deal with, have to be aware of. In terms of our more general stuff, it looked like Dallas wanted to play 6-man and potentially wanted to play Zen ball type things. We didn't ultimately get to see a ton of those, but I don't actually think they wanted this brawl mirror. And I noticed that Petal was not doing the job that we'd expected of off-angling when they were playing the brawl mirror. When we look at Waldorf here, my read, and we have some Waldorf guys in the chat so they can share, not share, whatever, is that they mostly were looking to be playing brawl. But then that Reaper Brawl, the Reaper Brawl can be done, but you sort of treat it like a Doomfist Brawl, where when your Reaper goes in, your front line has to be that second punch, like that jab cross, where the cross immediately follows or goes in right with it type thing, because there's a little bit too much separation when you are going in like that. Or if you're doing the slower, steady push, that can be fine, but you've got to be hyper aware of the McCree that should be off angling on you guys. You've got to be hyper aware and know we answer that with some DM. We, say we have statue here. We close this by pushing forward a little more. He might want to open the angle more, and then we either go, nope, change our mind, and we're going to run over the McCree, or we go, no, we're going to, as this McCree is trying to open this angle, we're going to pop our Lucio speed, amp in, and go force this fight as our Reaper has just teleported behind them, etc. Like, that's how it is. This has to be faster. Like, we've effectively got to play this faster, but faster aware of the McCree, and we have to have the delay between the Reaper and the team either be smaller than it was if we're going for those Blossom plays, or we have to understand that this is going to be a case of sort of let them start to off angle, let them start to off angle, let them start to off angle, and then go. But we weren't seeing as much off angling as we would have expected from their McCree, which makes this a little messy. That's part of what kept the brawl close, I would say, that this McCree wasn't being played as well as he perhaps should have there. But that's okay. Obviously, there's more we can do from Waldorf as well when it comes to our wall timings. We want to understand that, hey, we want to get like the first valid wall. It doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10 wall. That would be fantastic. But if we can get like a 6 out of 10, that's a success. And that doesn't have to mean we're right on top of the enemy team when we wall. It can be this wall is enough for us to get their lamp, get their amp, get their ice block. Like, the wall has to let you get enough of a pressure lead to get the next major cooldown out of them. Okay. Okay. So that's what I'm gonna see here. That's what I'm gonna comment on here. Main tanks on both sides looked pretty good. No, I'm not gonna get into rating the players individually here. I don't think the collegiate scene is ready for that. I don't think the skin is going to be as thick as it is for the pros yet. So I'm going to, for now, maybe I'll change my mind on that, but for now I'm going to ease back. Yeah. So if anyone has questions, you can go ahead and throw them up here now. Once again, correction from the tweet for people who saw that. UT Dallas did finish top 8 last season, and it looks like they've, made adds to their roster. Waldorf University, while they're that same purple W, are not University of Washington. They're Waldorf University, so they just formed their program this year. And we're continuing to see the scene grow, and that's quite nice. We're seeing teams come onto the scene like Ohio State, who massively upgraded their program this year after coming onto the scene relatively strong last year. We've seen things like, oh, look, the Redbirds exist now with their mostly American Tornado roster. We're seeing the scene continue to upgrade. This is only going to get more competitive. And it's kind of exciting to see. Like, I'm curious. I'm really excited to see, what this does as it pulls in more and more talent, as this becomes the not necessarily replacement for contenders immediately, but the system that has more sustainability than contenders or potentially even Owl. So it's nice to see the quality of competition going up. Even if, yes, I know there's lots of things that went wrong here that I pointed out, and that was without good spectator controls. But remember, guys, I can tear Owl or contenders apart just as hard. This is not me going like, these schools suck. They don't. Okay, if people have questions, go ahead and throw them up in chat now. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate it. If you'd like to see more collegiate stuff like this, go ahead and drop a comment down below letting me know. I've thought about sort of doing a roundup, chatting with other coaches. I've thought about doing more collegiate reviews like this. I've thought about, maybe I'll put out tier lists for the colleges for their Overwatch teams over the course of the season. We'll see. But if that's something people are interested, please do let me know in the comments below, because I don't know which, if any of those, make sense to spend my time on until I can gauge community interest a little bit more. Okay. This was a long one. It was blah. It was 3 maps, and it was 3 maps. 3 maps in 2 hours and 20 minutes isn't that long for a review. Why are you so handsome? That's an excellent question, Gimme Soup. It is an excellent question. Is there a VOD after this or Temporal Gaming stream next? I'll probably do Temporal Gaming stream next. I think this long one, plus I released a video, plus I did a stream this morning. Yeah, I'll probably swap over, take a short break, and then do some streaming over on Twitch if you guys want to see the new Tales of Arise game, where, like, about 3 hours into that, and probably in 20-30 minutes we'll continue streaming that for another 2.5 hours, something like that. I'm still surprised Dallas brought it back after they staggered as hard as they did. I'll just blame it on 2CP being 2CP. I mean, yeah, 2CP being 2CP, like they staggered hard and that was bad, don't get me wrong, but once they did lock that one down, it's such a pain to attack this map, and they weren't like paralyzed by the fact that Waldorf was coming in with the sim from the coast side. That'll really throw off some teams because it's sort of the least common attack route, but it didn't really phase them that hard, and as soon as that gets shut down, then you're back to pushing top right, and pushing top right, well, it's a snooze fest. Maybe something will happen eventually that isn't the team that has to push through the narrow hallway and up getting blown up by spam. I do have a slightly unrelated question. Who is the flex support in BAP Zen? So usually in BAP Zen, what you're going to run into is you'll put your flex support on Zen because your Zen will have had more experience, but that's not like a hard rule. Ultimately, you're going to do what makes more sense for your team based on their specific experiences is the real answer. But most of the time what's happened is you go, okay, the flex support pool is going to be Anna plus Zen plus Moira plus BAP. And the main support pool is going to be Mercy plus Lucio plus Brig plus BAP. That's mostly what people expect, but they're not hard rules. Just like sometimes you'll see, okay, in a Tracer Ashe comp, who's expected to play the Tracer versus the Ashe? Well, maybe your Flex DPS is expected to have a Tracer. Or in a Tracer Sombra comp, okay, well, if your Flex DPS already has a Tracer, maybe they're going to play Tracer while your hit scan plays Sombra. Or maybe your Flex DPS is your better Sombra. There's always some waviness depending on the strength of your specific players, but generally speaking, you put BAP in both of their pools, and in Zen BAP, you would kind of go, hey, we're going to put our main support on BAP. Again, not a perfect thing. Some of that depends on what are you expecting to swap out of. Like if you're playing Zen BAP with a Narissa, for example, are you more likely to swap into a comp if you swap that continues to require your BAP or continues to require your Zen? Like you could go from a Narissa comp to a ball comp. Okay, you're probably going to want to keep your Zen, as an example. Okay. Okay. I'm not seeing any other questions, but I'll give you guys just a moment. And no, I think that's going to do it.